30 guests are coming. This cabin is as ours today. You never asked my permission. Sponsors believe this property belongs to me. Every lie is on camera now.
Stop before you destroy us. Mom, she hid your financial files.
The truth owns this cabin. You were supposed to find those.
2 hours after Lorraine Vance signed the final papers for her new cabin in the Montana woods, her daughter-in-law called and said she was bringing 30 people. No apology. No request. Just orders. Get the rooms ready. Get the food ready. Be grateful we're coming. Lorraine had spent 6 years being treated like an unpaid maid in Trevor and Maya's basement, and this cabin was supposed to be her escape. But when the first SUV rolled up the dirt road and strangers began stepping onto her porch like they owned it, Lorraine realized one terrible thing. Someone had lied about who truly owned her peace. Welcome to today's story. If you enjoy emotional drama and shocking twists, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more unforgettable stories. And before we begin, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. Before the invasion, there had been silence. Lorraine had noticed it the moment she first stepped out of the realtor's truck that morning. The kind of silence that did not feel empty, but alive. Pine branches moved softly above the roof, gravel shifted beneath her shoes. Somewhere beyond the back slope, a creek ran over stone with a sound so gentle she almost cried. The cabin was not grand. It had 2 bedrooms, a sleeping loft, a narrow kitchen, and a front porch that leaned slightly to one side. The paint on the railing needed work. The old wood stove had to be inspected before winter. One window stuck when she tried to open it, but it was hers. Every board, every nail, every draft under the door belonged to her name and no one else's. At 68, Lorraine had not thought she would start over with cardboard boxes and a bad hip. But that morning, holding the keys in her palm, she felt something loosen inside her chest. For 6 years, she had lived in the basement of her son Trevor's house. It had started after her hip surgery, when she needed help getting to appointments and climbing stairs. Trevor had said it would only be for a few months. Maya had smiled tightly and said family took care of family. Then a few months became a year became 6. By the end, Lorraine was no longer recovering. She was cooking, cleaning, folding towels, ordering groceries, sitting quietly at the far end of the dinner table while Maya talked around her as if she were a chair. She contributed to the bills, but Maya still called her dependent. She helped keep the house running, but Trevor still asked her not to upset his wife. The basement room was cold even in July, with one narrow window near the ceiling and a laundry pipe that knocked inside the wall at night. Lorraine had not told them she was buying the cabin until the sale was almost finished. She had sold her old townhouse the one she had rented out after moving in with Trevor, and kept the details to herself. She told Trevor only that she was looking for something quiet. He had sounded surprised, then worried, then strangely offended. "You sure you want to be that far out?" he had asked. "I'm sure. What if something happens? Then I'll handle it." He had gone silent after that. Lorraine knew that silence. It was the sound Trevor made when he wanted to disagree but did not want to be responsible for the words. Maya's reaction had been worse. She had not congratulated Lorraine. She had not asked to see pictures. She had said, "A cabin at your age?" Then she laughed lightly, as if the idea of Lorraine wanting space was cute and foolish. "Well, I hope you didn't sign anything too complicated without someone looking it over." Lorraine had signed everything herself. She had read every page. She had made copies of the deed, closing statement, insurance binder, and septic inspection. She had placed the originals in a blue fireproof document bag, now sitting in the bottom drawer of the bedroom dresser. That was the first thing she unpacked. Before dishes, before towels, before the framed photograph of her late husband, Peter, she was sliding plates into the kitchen cabinet when her phone rang. Maya's name appeared on the screen. Lorraine stared at it for 3 rings before answering. Some part of her already knew the day was about to change. "Lorraine," Maya said, brisk and bright. "Listen, slight change of plans. We're coming up today." Lorraine held one plate in her hand. "Who is we?" "Just a group. Friends. Trevor's coming later." "It'll be good for you not to be alone." Lorraine set the plate down slowly. "Maya, I just got the keys. I know. That's why it's perfect. Fresh start. Fresh air. We'll make it a family retreat." "A retreat?" "Yes. Around 30 people, give or take. Don't panic. They're adults, very respectful. Just get the rooms ready and maybe put together something simple for food tonight. Soup, bread, whatever you have." Lorraine looked around the kitchen. Half the boxes were still taped shut. The refrigerator held eggs, coffee creamer, apples, and one package of sliced turkey. Her sheets were still in a plastic bin by the stairs. Maya, no, Lorraine said. There was a pause. Not long, but sharp. No? Maya repeated as if Lorraine had used a language she did not understand. I'm not ready for guests. Oh, don't be dramatic. We're already on the road. Lorraine's fingers tightened around the edge of the counter. You should have asked. Maya sighed. It was the same sigh she used when Lorraine moved too slowly, when Lorraine bought the wrong brand of the detergent, when Lorraine forgot that Maya preferred almond milk instead of half and half. Lorraine, this is important. Trevor said you wanted the cabin to bring the family together. Lorraine closed her eyes. Trevor had said that. Maybe not in those exact words, but close enough for Maya to twist. Lorraine had once said she hoped the cabin might be a peaceful place where people could visit by invitation. Maya had turned invitation into entitlement. I'm calling Trevor, Lorraine said. Fine, Maya replied, but please don't make this awkward. People are excited. The line went dead. Lorraine called Trevor immediately. It rang until voicemail. She called again. Nothing. Then a text appeared. Please just go along with it. Maya's under a lot of pressure. I'll explain later. Lorraine read the message 3 times. There it was. Not are you okay? Not I'm sorry. Not do they have permission. Just please make yourself smaller one more time so my life stays easier. For a moment she stood very still in the kitchen. The cabin seemed to hold its breath with her. Then she took a slow breath and did something she had not done enough in Trevor's house. She saved the message. She took a screenshot, sent it to her own email, and placed her phone face down on the counter. The first engine reached the dirt road less than an hour later. Lorraine heard it before she saw it, a low rumble climbing through the trees, then another behind it. She walked to the front window and watched a silver SUV appear around the bend, throwing dust behind it. A black pickup followed, then a white sedan, then 2 more vehicles, then more headlights flashing between the pines. Her stomach dropped. They came like they had been invited to a lodge. Doors opened. Adults stepped out laughing, stretching, lifting weekend bags from trunks. A woman in oversized sunglasses pointed at the porch and said something Lorraine could not hear. A man opened the back of a truck and pulled out a cooler. Someone else carried a tripod case. Another woman held 2 garment bags over one arm. Maya stepped out of the silver SUV last. She wore cream linen pants, a fitted jacket, and the confident smile of someone arriving at a place she already believed belonged to her. She raised one hand toward the group and called, "Everyone, welcome! Isn't it perfect?" Lorraine opened the front door before Maya reached it. Maya's smile tightened. "There you are." "Maya," Lorraine said, keeping her voice even. "These people can't stay here." A few guests went quiet. Others pretended not to hear. Maya stepped closer and lowered her voice. "Not now." "Yes, now." Maya's eyes flicked over Lorraine's shoulder into the cabin. "Lorraine, please, don't embarrass me in front of everyone." The words landed harder than Lorraine expected. Not because they were loud, because they were familiar. Maya always made Lorraine's boundaries sound like bad manners. She made disrespect seem like something Lorraine caused by noticing it. Before Lorraine could answer, a man with a duffel bag walked around them and entered the cabin. Then another, then another. Lorraine turned, stunned as strangers crossed her threshold without permission. One woman set a tote bag on the dining table. A man placed a cooler directly on the wood floor. Someone opened a cabinet and called out, "Where are the glasses?" Another voice from the hallway asked which room had the best view. Maya smiled at Lorraine as if the matter had settled itself. "See?" she said softly. "It's already happening. Let's just be flexible." Flexible. Lorraine had been flexible when Trevor asked her to stay 1 more month after surgery. Flexible when Maya moved her belongings into the basement to free up space. Flexible when her pension helped cover groceries no one thanked her for. Flexible when family dinners became meals she cooked and cleaned up alone. This was not flexibility, this was invasion. She stepped inside and watched 2 women climb the stairs toward the loft. A man opened the refrigerator and frowned. Someone dragged a suitcase across the pine floor, leaving a dark scrape near the door. A woman Lorraine had never met looked at her and asked, "Are there extra towels or should we just find them?" Lorraine did not answer. Her heart beat hard, but her mind had gone strangely clear. She walked to the counter, picked up her phone, and took 1 photograph of the crowded entryway, then another of the cooler on the floor, then one of the line of cars outside, license plates visible through the window. Maya saw the phone and narrowed her eyes. "What are you doing?" "Remembering," Lorraine said. Maya gave a short laugh. "You don't need to document family." Lorraine looked at the strangers filling her living room. "I don't know most of these people." The smile left Maya's face for half a second. Then she recovered. You will. Outside, another car door slammed. Inside, someone had already turned on music. Lorraine moved through the room without touching anyone. She did not shout. She did not cry. She walked to the bedroom, closed the door behind her, and opened the bottom dresser drawer. The blue fireproof document bag was still there. She rested one hand on it, feeling the hard edges of the papers inside. Her name was on the deed. Her name was on the insurance. Her name was on the closing statement. Whatever Maya had told those people, whatever Trevor had allowed her to believe, this cabin was not a family asset, not a free venue, not a backdrop for someone else's life. It was Lorraine's. She slid the drawer shut and returned to the main room. More bags had appeared, more shoes by the door, more voices. The cabin that had been silent an hour earlier now sounded like a crowded restaurant. On the dining table, beneath someone's phone and a half-open packet of printed schedules, Lorraine noticed a clean white page with bold lettering across the top. She picked it up, her eyes moved over the title once, then again, Maya Vance's private brand retreat. Below it was the cabin address. Below that, in smaller print, was a welcome note thanking guests for joining Maya at her exclusive mountain property experience. Lorraine stood in the middle of her own home, while laughter rose around her, and for the first time all day, her hands stopped shaking. Lorraine kept the page in her hand while the noise of the cabin pressed around her. The words looked too clean for what they were doing. Maya Vance's private brand retreat. Not Lorraine's cabin, not a family weekend, not even a visit. A retreat, a branded experience. An event planned well enough to have printed schedules before Lorraine had even unpacked her plates. She looked down the page slowly. Welcome breakfast at 8. Guided forest walk at 10. Fireside content session at 7. Optional product photography near the west-facing porch. Lorraine's fingers tightened on the paper. Product photography, on her porch, in front of her windows, with her new home turned into a backdrop for someone else's image. A woman Lorraine did not recognize leaned over the table and smiled as if they were old friends. Oh good, you found the schedule. Are you the property manager? The question landed quietly, but it cut deep. Lorraine looked at her. The woman was perhaps in her 40s, polished and cheerful, wearing a cream sweater and hiking boots that looked too clean for dirt roads. She held a stainless steel water bottle with a logo printed across it. Behind her, two men were discussing where to set up lighting equipment near the front windows. No, Lorraine said. I'm the owner. The woman blinked. Her smile shifted. Oh, I'm sorry. Maya said the place was available through family. Available, Lorraine repeated. Before the woman could answer, Maya appeared at Lorraine's side and slipped the paper from her hand with a quick, smooth motion. There you are, Maya said to the guest, bright again. Ignore the confusion. Lorraine just moved in, so she's still getting oriented. Lorraine turned to her slowly. Oriented? Maya's smile held, but her eyes sharpened. This is Claire. She works with one of the lifestyle agencies I told you about. You didn't tell me about any agency. Maya laughed lightly, just loud enough for Claire to hear. I must have mentioned it to Trevor. Everything has been moving so fast. Lorraine looked at Claire, then at the printed page now folded under Maya's arm. Did you pay to be here? Claire's face changed. Not much, but enough. Her mouth opened, then closed. She glanced at Maya. Maya stepped in at once. Lorraine, that's not the way to ask people questions. It's my house. A few heads turned. Someone near the fireplace stopped unzipping a camera bag. The music was still playing, but lower now, as if the room itself was listening. Maya leaned closer and lowered her voice. You are making this uncomfortable. No, Lorraine said. You made this uncomfortable when you brought strangers into my home without asking. For 1 second, Maya's face went blank. The performance slipped, and Lorraine saw something harder underneath. Not guilt, not shame, irritation. The kind someone felt when a tool stopped working. Then Maya smiled again. Everyone, she called, turning toward the room. Small housekeeping note, Lorraine is Trevor's mother. She lives quietly now, and this cabin is very new for her, so let's give her a little grace while she adjusts. A few guests nodded with polite sympathy. Lorraine felt the room move around her, not physically but socially. Maya had shifted the story in one sentence. Lorraine was no longer the owner whose consent mattered. She was an older mother having trouble adjusting, a woman to be handled gently, a woman whose objections could be softened and dismissed. It was the same trick Maya had used for years. If Lorraine objected, Maya called it confusion. If Lorraine refused, Maya called it stress. If Lorraine remembered things differently, Maya smiled and said, That's not how it happened. Lorraine did not answer. She looked toward the entryway, where bags were piled against the wall. One suitcase had knocked over the umbrella stand. A set of muddy boots sat on the hooked rug she had bought in town 2 days earlier. In the kitchen, someone opened another cabinet. Glass clinked. A voice called out, "Found the mugs, her cabinets, her house." Lorraine walked to the counter and picked up her phone. Maya watched her. "What are you doing now?" "Calling Trevor. He's driving. He can pull over." Maya's mouth tightened. "Please don't drag him into this before he even gets here." Lorraine pressed Trevor's name anyway. The call rang once, twice, 3 times. Then voicemail. She did not leave a message. She called again. Voicemail. She looked at the text he had sent earlier. "Please just go along with it. Maya's under a lot of pressure. I'll explain later." She took another screenshot, this time with the time visible. Then she opened her email and sent it to herself with the subject line, "Trevor text cabin arrival." Maya gave a short, disbelieving laugh. "You're emailing yourself now?" "Yes, that is not normal, Lorraine." Lorraine looked up. "Neither is bringing 30 people to a house you don't own." The room quieted again. Claire looked down at her water bottle. One of the men near the window pretended to adjust his camera strap. Another woman backed away toward the hallway with her overnight bag still in hand. Maya stepped closer, her voice low enough that only Lorraine could hear. "You need to be very careful. These people matter to me. This weekend matters to me. You do not get to humiliate me because you're feeling territorial." Territorial. Lorraine almost smiled, but there was no humor in it. Maya had walked into her home, renamed it, filled it with strangers, and now called ownership a flaw. "Where is the schedule file?" Lorraine asked. Maya blinked. "What? The full schedule?" "The guest list. Whatever you sent these people." Maya's expression cooled. "That's business material, using my address." "Our family address for the weekend." "No," Lorraine said. "My address." Maya stared at her for a moment, then turned away as if Lorraine had become tedious. "Claire, can you help the others find rooms?" "We'll reset in 10 minutes. Claire hesitated. "Maybe we should wait until Trevor arrives." Maya's smile returned, but this time it had an edge. "Trevor is fine with this." Lorraine heard it clearly. Not Trevor approved. "Trevor is fine with this." It was soft enough to sound harmless, but it told Lorraine something important. Maya was leaning on Trevor's silence as permission. A tall man with a trimmed beard approached from the hallway. "Maya, is the main bedroom upstairs reserved for you? The one with the view?" Before Lorraine could answer, Maya said, "Yes, that's ours." Lorraine turned sharply. "No, it isn't." The man froze. Maya laughed, quick and brittle. "Lorraine, please, that bedroom is mine." Maya looked embarrassed now, and that embarrassment made her crueler. "You don't need the largest room. You're one person." The words landed in the open. No one laughed. No one defended Lorraine either. For a moment, she saw Trevor's kitchen, Trevor's basement stairs, the folding cot she had slept on during the months after surgery, because Maya said the guest room was needed for storage. She remembered asking Trevor whether she could move back upstairs once her hip healed. He had looked away and said Maya had already arranged the space. "You're one person." That had always been the argument. One person needed less room, less privacy, less comfort, less say. Lorraine walked past Maya toward the stairs. Each step felt steadier than the last. Behind her, she heard Maya whisper her name, sharp as a warning. Lorraine did not stop. At the top of the stairs, the main bedroom door stood open. 2 garment bags lay across her bed. A makeup case sat on the dresser beside the framed photo of Peter she had placed there less than an hour earlier. Someone had moved the photo toward the edge to make space for a row of small branded candles. Lorraine picked up the garment bags and set them in the hallway. Then she moved the makeup case beside them. She returned Peter's photograph to the center of the dresser and touched the frame once lightly. Maya reached the doorway behind her. Her cheeks were flushed now. "You cannot just throw my things into the hall." Lorraine turned. "Watch me." Maya stared as if she had never seen Lorraine before. Maybe she had not. Maybe all these years she had only seen the woman who apologized while being stepped over. Lorraine took the printed schedule from where Maya still held it and folded it once. Maya was too surprised to stop her. "I'm keeping this," Lorraine said. "That belongs to me. It has my address on it." Maya's voice dropped. "You're going to regret making an enemy of me." Lorraine studied her. The threat was not shouted. It did not need to be. It was dressed in calm, just like all the worst things Maya said. Downstairs, the front door opened again. More voices entered. Trevor still had not arrived. More strangers were in her home, more bags, more assumptions. Lorraine knew she could not remove them all by force. Not tonight. Not without preparation. Not without knowing exactly how far Maya had gone, so she did the one thing she could do right then. She walked into the bedroom, opened the dresser drawer, and checked the blue fireproof document bag. It was still there. She unzipped it just enough to see the top page of the closing statement. Lorraine Vance, sole purchaser. She zipped it again, took the bag out, and placed it in the bottom of her suitcase instead of the drawer. Maya watched from the doorway. "What is that? Mine. You're being paranoid." "No," Lorraine said. "I'm being careful." She carried the suitcase into the small closet and slid it behind a stack of moving boxes. Then she opened her phone camera and took a photo of the bedroom, the hallway, Maya's bags outside the door, and the schedule in her hand. She did not explain. She did not ask permission. Maya's phone buzzed. She glanced down, and for the first time all day, true anxiety crossed her face. She turned the screen away too quickly, but not before Lorraine saw the message preview. Did the property owner sign off on the brand use agreement? Maya locked the phone and looked up. Lorraine's grip tightened around her own phone. Downstairs, someone called Maya's name, cheerful and impatient. Maya stepped backward into the hall, smoothing her face into a smile again. "We'll talk later," she said. Lorraine did not answer. She waited until Maya disappeared down the stairs. Then she looked at the folded itinerary in her hand, the suitcase hidden in the closet, and the unanswered question now sitting between every wall of that cabin. If someone was asking whether the property owner had signed, then Maya had already told someone there was a signature. Lorraine stayed in the bedroom for a full minute after Maya went downstairs. She listened to the cabin fill with voices that did not belong there. Suitcases bumped against walls. A faucet ran in the kitchen. Someone laughed too loudly near the stairs. Every sound moved through the wood like a claim. Her phone remained in her hand. The message preview she had seen on Maya's screen would not leave her mind. Did the property owner sign off on the brand use agreement? It was not proof, not yet, but it was enough to change the way Lorraine looked at the room. Maya had not simply been careless. She had prepared something. She had expected Lorraine to stand in the background while other people treated her home as a business location. Lorraine opened her notes app and typed the words exactly as she remembered them. Brand use agreement. Property owner sign off. Maya phone preview. She added the time. Then she took a photograph of the folded itinerary beside the dresser clock. The image captured the title clearly, the cabin address beneath it, and Maya's name printed larger than anything else on the page. Only after that did she let herself sit on the edge of the bed. The room smelled of fresh pine and someone else's perfume. A garment tag from Maya's dress bag lay on the floor near Lorraine's shoe. She picked it up and dropped it into the trash, then stopped herself. No, not trash. Evidence did not need to be dramatic to matter. She took it back out, placed it in the side pocket of her suitcase, and zipped it closed. Downstairs, Maya's voice floated up, smooth and cheerful. Lorraine could hear the performance returning. "Welcome, settle in, make yourselves comfortable." She spoke as though the cabin had opened its arms by choice. Lorraine pressed both hands against her knees and closed her eyes. For a moment, the noise below became another noise from another house, Trevor's house. The house where she had gone after surgery with one overnight bag and a walker. 6 years earlier, she had been discharged from the hospital after hip replacement surgery with a folder of instructions and more fear than she had admitted. The doctor had told her recovery would take time. Trevor had insisted she come stay with him and Maya. Lorraine had resisted at first because she still had her townhouse then, small but paid for, with a sunny kitchen and a neighbor who checked on her mail. Trevor had sounded hurt. "Mom, don't make this harder than it has to be," he had said. "Let us help." Maya had been gracious in front of the hospital nurse. She had adjusted Lorraine's blanket, carried the discharge papers, and said, "We'll take good care of her." Lorraine remembered being grateful, truly grateful. At 62, widowed and unsteady on her feet, she had wanted to believe that family could still be a safe place. At first it was. Trevor brought her tea. Maya made sure the hallway was clear so Lorraine would not trip. They set her up in the guest room on the main floor because stairs were difficult. For the first few weeks, Lorraine felt humbled by needing help but also loved. Then small things changed. Maya began leaving laundry baskets near Lorraine's chair. "Only if you feel up to it," she would say. Lorraine did feel up to folding towels, and she wanted to be useful. Then came grocery lists, then simple dinners. Then phone calls asking if she could sign for deliveries, wait for repairmen, organize the pantry while she was resting anyway. Trevor always thanked her. That was part of what made it hard to see. He thanked her with a tired kiss on the cheek and said, "I don't know what we'd do without you." At the time, Lorraine heard love in that sentence. Later, she heard dependence. By the time her hip healed, Maya had converted the guest room into a workspace. Lorraine remembered standing in the doorway while her clothes sat folded in plastic bins. "It's just temporary," Maya had said, not looking up from her laptop. "The basement has more privacy anyway." The basement had no real privacy. It had a narrow bed, a metal shelf, and a small window that showed grass at eye level. The furnace clicked at night. The laundry machines rattled against the wall. Still, Lorraine had told herself not to complain. Trevor and Maya were busy, housing was expensive, families adjusted. Good mothers did not make life harder for their adult children. So she adjusted until adjustment became erasure. Bills came in her name because she had offered once, during a tight month, to cover utilities. Maya never moved them back. Lorraine bought groceries because she was the one home during the day. She cooked because Trevor said her meals helped him feel less stressed. She cleaned because mess made her anxious, and Maya called that anxiety helpful energy. When Lorraine mentioned moving back to her townhouse, Maya would grow soft and practical. Are you sure that's wise? What if you fall? What if you need another procedure? Trevor worries about you. Trevor did worry, Lorraine believed that. But his worry always seemed to end where Maya's convenience began. He never asked why his mother was still in the basement. He never asked whether she wanted her own kitchen again. He never noticed that the woman who had once balanced her own checkbook, managed her own repairs, and negotiated the sale of Peter's old truck had become someone they treated as fragile unless they needed work done. The clearest moment came the winter Lorraine found a brochure on the kitchen counter for a senior apartment complex outside town. Maya had circled monthly rates in red ink. Trevor had said it was just information. Maya had said Lorraine should keep her options open, but Lorraine had seen the second sheet beneath it, the one with handwritten notes about what her townhouse might rent for and how much family contribution could be expected if she downsized. That was when Lorraine stopped talking about leaving and started planning it. Quietly, she called her old realtor. Quietly, she reviewed her savings. Quietly, she made sure her pension deposits went to an account Maya had never helped her set up. When she sold the townhouse, Trevor thought she was only simplifying. Maya thought Lorraine was finally becoming easier to manage. Neither of them knew Lorraine had already found the cabin. Now sitting on the bed in that cabin with strangers downstairs and Maya's printed itinerary in her hand, Lorraine understood something painful. She had not escaped as far as she thought. She had brought her silence with her, and Maya had followed it like a map. A knock sounded at the bedroom door. Lorraine stood and opened it only halfway. Trevor stood in the hall with one hand on the doorframe. He looked tired, his jacket dusty from the road, his face caught between apology and avoidance. Behind him, Maya's garment bags still lay where Lorraine had placed them. "Mom," he said quietly. Lorraine looked past him toward the stairs. "You finally arrived. I know this looks bad." "It is bad." He rubbed the back of his neck. "Maya told me it was more organized than this." Lorraine held up the itinerary. "Did she tell you my home was printed as her private brand retreat?" His eyes dropped to the paper, then away. That small movement answered more than any words could have. Lorraine felt the old ache rise, but this time she did not soften it for him. "Trevor," he exhaled. "She said it would help her get a sponsor. She said it was just photos and networking. I thought you'd be okay once everyone got here. You thought I would have no choice once everyone got here." He flinched. Before he could answer, a woman's voice called from downstairs, asking where the master bedroom was. Maya answered before anyone else could. "Upstairs, first door on the left, but give me 2 minutes. I need to fix something." Trevor turned toward the stairs, alarmed. Lorraine stepped past him into the hall. Maya came up carrying 2 neat white signs and a roll of tape. When she saw Lorraine, she paused only briefly. Then she walked to the bedroom door and pressed one sign flat against it, "Private access only." The second sign went beneath it, "Reserved for host use." Lorraine stared at the words taped to her own bedroom door, while Trevor stood silent beside her. Then she looked at Maya's hands, still smoothing the paper as if sealing a claim. Lorraine stared at the signs for several seconds. The hallway suddenly felt smaller than it had moments ago. Maya's fingers were still pressed against the paper, smoothing out a corner that had already adhered perfectly. "Take those down," Lorraine said. Maya smiled as if she had been asked something unreasonable. "They're just for organization. This is my bedroom, and these guests paid for a certain experience," Maya replied. "I'm trying to keep things running smoothly." The words landed harder than Lorraine expected. "Paid." Trevor looked sharply at Maya. "What do you mean paid?" he asked. Maya's smile flickered for a fraction of a second before returning. "Contributed. You know what I mean." Lorraine noticed the correction immediately. Trevor noticed it too, but neither of them pursued it. Instead, Maya peeled a loose edge of tape flat again and turned toward the stairs. "We'll discuss it later. Everyone's waiting." Then she disappeared downstairs. The silence she left behind felt heavier than the noise below. Trevor rubbed his forehead. "Mom, no." He stopped. For once, Lorraine did not let him begin with an apology that would lead nowhere. She reached up calmly and removed both signs from the door. The tape pulled away with a sharp tearing sound. She folded the signs in half, then again. Then she handed them to Trevor. "This room is not reserved for a host." He looked down at the paper in his hand. "It's mine." Without waiting for a response, she stepped into the bedroom and closed the door. A few minutes later, she locked it. The click of the lock sounded insignificant. It wasn't. It was the first boundary she had enforced in years. For nearly an hour, she stayed inside, organizing her belongings. Not because the room needed organizing, but because she needed to think. The cabin had security cameras. The realtor who handled the sale had recommended them because the property would sit empty during part of the year. Lorraine had almost declined the expense. Now she was grateful she hadn't. She opened the camera application on her phone and checked each angle: front porch, driveway, side entrance, rear deck. Every feed was functioning. The driveway camera showed 18 vehicles already parked around the property. 18. And Maya had claimed only family was coming. Lorraine began taking screenshots, vehicle after vehicle. License plates, timestamps, the growing number of arrivals. She saved everything into a new folder. Then she photographed the itinerary again, this including the cabin address and Maya's printed title. Every piece felt small by itself. Together they started forming a record. A knock sounded downstairs, then another. New arrivals. Lorraine opened the driveway camera. 3 more SUVs were climbing the dirt road. By sunset, the property looked less like a private home and more like a commercial event. When Lorraine finally came downstairs, she found strangers everywhere. 2 women occupied the kitchen island discussing social media campaigns. A man she had never met was setting camera equipment beside the fireplace. Someone had moved her reading chair to make space for group photographs. No one asked permission. Most barely acknowledged her. Several smiled politely, the way people smiled at staff. One woman approached holding a coffee mug. "Excuse me," she said. "Can we get extra towels?" Lorraine stared at her. The woman seemed confused. "Or whoever said housekeeping." Lorraine felt something cold settle inside her. Before she could answer, Maya appeared from across the room. "There she is," Maya said brightly. "Lorraine knows where everything is." The woman smiled with relief. "Perfect." Lorraine looked directly at Maya. "You can show her." The room became very quiet for a moment. Not silent, just enough for people to notice. Maya laughed. "Oh my God. You're still upset about the signs? You brought 30 people into my house." A few heads turned. Maya's smile tightened. "We talked about this." "No, you informed me." Trevor appeared near the kitchen entrance. Lorraine saw the familiar look on his face. The look that always came before he tried to make everyone comfortable except the person who had been wronged. "Let's not do this now." Lorraine looked at him. "Then when?" He had no answer. The woman with the coffee mug slowly backed away. Others returned to their conversations. But the atmosphere had shifted. For the first time, several guests seemed uncertain, as if they were realizing the retreat they had been invited to might not be exactly what they had been told. Maya quickly redirected attention. She announced dinner plans, outdoor activities, networking sessions, sponsor opportunities. The crowd followed her voice. Lorraine quietly stepped outside. The cool Montana air hit her face. For a moment, she simply stood on the porch. The trees remained unchanged. The mountains remained unchanged. Only the people had changed the meaning of the places. She looked toward the driveway. More vehicles, more strangers. Then she noticed something that made her stop. A white cargo van sat near the tree line. The rear doors were open. Several large boxes were stacked inside. Brand banners, printed materials, professional signage. This was not a casual family gathering. The equipment looked prepared, ordered, planned long before today. Lorraine raised her phone and took photographs, one after another. A man carrying a tripod walked past. "Careful with those sponsor kits," he called toward the van. Sponsor kits. Lorraine saved the photos immediately. Back inside, dinner stretched across the evening. Guests filled every available seat. The noise never stopped. Neither did Maya. She moved through the room like a performer, laughing, greeting people, talking about future retreats, future locations, future growth. Again and again, Lorraine heard phrases that did not belong in a family gathering. Brand partnerships, exclusive experiences, membership opportunities. She noticed Trevor drinking more than usual, not enough to lose control, enough to avoid responsibility. Around 10 o'clock, several guests gathered near the fireplace. Maya stood before them holding a glass. Lorraine remained near the hallway where she could listen unnoticed. "I've always believed people crave authentic spaces," Maya said. Nods followed. "The retreat model works because people want connection." More nods. Then came the sentence Lorraine would remember. This property gives us a unique foundation moving forward. Us, not me, not Lorraine, us, as if ownership had already been decided. As if the cabin belonged to some future business Maya had already built in her mind. Lorraine glanced toward Trevor. He was looking down. He did not object. He did not correct her. He simply stayed silent, the same silence he had hidden behind for 6 years. Later that night, after most guests had gone to their rooms, Lorraine made another round through the camera feeds. The driveway, the porch, the rear deck. She stopped when she reached the front entrance recording from earlier that evening. Movement caught her eye. Maya stood near the porch railing speaking with a guest. The audio was faint but usable. Lorraine increased the volume. The guest handed Maya an envelope. "Thanks for organizing everything," the man said. "I wasn't sure whether the weekend fee included meals." Weekend fee. Lorraine's heartbeat slowed instead of quickening. That surprised her, because suddenly things felt clearer. Maya accepted the envelope. "Don't worry," she said with a laugh. "We've got it covered." The guest glanced toward the cabin. "Does the owner mind all this?" Maya smiled. Then she said the words that made Lorraine save the clip immediately. "She won't make trouble." A pause. "She never does." Lorraine sat frozen in the darkness. The video timer continued running. Maya slipped the envelope into her bag and walked back inside. Lorraine replayed the clip once, then twice, then a third time. After the third viewing, she exported the file to a separate storage folder. 2 backups, 3 copies. No mistakes, no lost evidence. When she finally set the phone down, another notification appeared at the top of the screen. A public event page had been updated. The page title loaded slowly. Then the words became visible. Mountain Reset Retreat, hosted by Lorraine Vance. Lorraine opened it. At the bottom of the promotional page sat a photo of her cabin. And beneath the image, in bold text, was a sentence that made her blood run cold. "Future retreat location secured, permanent access confirmed." Lorraine did not sleep. She sat at the kitchen table long after the cabin had gone quiet, staring at the event page glowing on her phone screen. The words remained exactly the same no matter how many times she refreshed. "Future retreat location secured, permanent access confirmed." It was not a careless phrase, it was a promise. A promise Maya had made to strangers using property she did not own. Lorraine took screenshots of the entire page. Then she captured the source information, the event date, the registration details, and the promotional images. She emailed copies to herself and saved duplicates to a cloud folder. By 3 in the morning, she had built a digital file containing the porch video, the payment exchange, the itinerary, the guest count, and the retreat advertisement. Only then did she allow herself to close the laptop. The next morning, she woke to voices already moving through the cabin. Coffee machines hummed. Doors opened and closed. Someone laughed loudly on the deck. Her cabin sounded like a hotel. When she entered the kitchen, Maya was standing near the island speaking with 2 guests. The moment Maya noticed Lorraine, her smile became brighter, artificial, controlled. "Did you sleep okay?" Maya asked. Lorraine poured herself coffee. No. One guest looked uncomfortable. The other pretended not to hear. Maya continued smiling. "We have the outdoor workshop at 10. We?" The smile twitched again. "The group." Lorraine took her coffee and walked away before Maya could recover. The power balance had shifted slightly. For the first time, Maya seemed aware that Lorraine was no longer willing to cooperate. Around mid-morning, Lorraine stepped onto the porch with her phone. She opened the event registration page again. This time she clicked deeper. Payment information, confirmation forms, guest instructions. Her stomach tightened. Several sections referred to the property as an exclusive retreat venue operated by Lorraine Vance. Operated. Not visited, not borrowed, operated. The language appeared carefully chosen, professional, deliberate, which meant Maya had likely written it weeks earlier, possibly months. Lorraine photographed every page. Then she noticed something else. A contact email connected to the retreat website. Not Maya's personal address, a business address, one she had never seen before. She saved that too. The more evidence she gathered, the less this felt like a family misunderstanding. It felt planned. By noon, the retreat activities were underway. Groups moved between the porch, the meadow behind the cabin, and the fire pit area. Professional photographs were being taken, videos were being recorded. Branded water bottles appeared, custom notebooks, printed schedules. Everywhere Lorraine looked, she found another sign that money had been invested before anyone arrived. A man named Kevin approached her near the deck railing. He looked to be in his 40s. Friendly, unaware of the tension. "Beautiful property," he said. "It is. Maya told us she's expanding next year." Lorraine remained still. "Expanding what?" "The retreat business." Kevin smiled. Honestly, this location is what sold me. Something cold settled in her chest. What do you mean? He seemed surprised by the question. The future packages. Lorraine waited. Kevin continued. She said she secured long-term access to the property and planned to run several events annually. The words came casually, as if they were common knowledge, as if everyone except Lorraine had heard them. What exactly did she tell you? Lorraine asked. Kevin hesitated. For the first time, he seemed to realize something was wrong. Just that the location was already handled. Handled. Another careful phrase. Neither ownership nor permission, just handled. Kevin excused himself shortly afterward, but the damage was done. Lorraine now knew Maya had been marketing future retreats before the first one even began. The question was why, and how much Trevor knew. That afternoon she found him alone near the garage unloading folding chairs. He looked exhausted. Dark circles sat beneath his eyes. For a moment he reminded her of the young man she used to comfort after difficult days. The memory almost softened her. Almost. You knew more than you admitted. Trevor stopped moving. His shoulders tightened immediately. Mom. No, he lowered the chair. I don't know what you're asking. That's not true. Silence. Lorraine held his gaze. I spoke to guests. His face changed. Just enough. The reaction answered her before he spoke. You knew she was planning future retreats. Trevor looked away. She talked about possibilities. That's not what I asked. The air between them became heavy. Finally, he exhaled. She was trying to get sponsorship support. There it is. Trevor rubbed the back of his neck. It wasn't supposed to become this. What was it supposed to become? He didn't answer. The silence felt familiar. The same silence that had protected Maya for years. The same silence that had cost Lorraine 6 years of her life. Did you tell her she could use my property? Lorraine asked. No. The answer came quickly, almost too quickly. For a second, Lorraine believed him. Then he added something that made it worse. I assumed eventually you'd be okay with it. Eventually. Not if. Not after asking. Eventually. As though ownership were simply a matter of waiting for Lorraine to surrender. She stepped back. Trevor immediately saw the hurt on her face. Mom, that's not what I meant. It is exactly what you meant. He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. For the first time, he seemed to understand how much damage a quiet assumption could cause. Lorraine walked away before he could apologize. She no longer wanted apologies. She wanted facts. Later that afternoon, she drove into town. She needed distance from the cabin. More importantly, she needed information. At a local cafe, she connected to reliable internet and began researching property attorneys. Several names appeared. She selected one with extensive real estate experience and requested a consultation for the following morning. Not an emergency meeting, not a lawsuit, just information. The first step. Afterward, she called her insurance company. The representative confirmed what Lorraine already suspected. Large, unauthorized events could create liability issues depending on circumstances. The representative carefully avoided legal conclusions, but the warning was enough. If someone got hurt during Maya's retreat, Lorraine's name could become part of the problem. She thanked the representative and ended the call. By the time she returned to the cabin, the sun was beginning to drop behind the trees. The atmosphere felt different, tighter. Several guests were whispering. A few appeared uncomfortable. Rumors were spreading. Truth had started leaking through the cracks. Inside the kitchen, Maya was speaking sharply into her phone. She didn't notice Lorraine immediately. Because she's making this harder than it needs to be. Pause. No, the location is fine. Another pause. I already told you access is secured. Lorraine stopped moving. Maya turned and saw her. The conversation ended instantly, too instantly. Maya shoved the phone into her pocket. Neither woman spoke, neither looked away. For a moment, the room belonged entirely to them. Then Maya smiled. The same polished smile, the same performance, but something new lived underneath it now. Fear. That night, Lorraine reviewed her evidence again. The folder continued growing. Photos, videos, screenshots, names, dates, timestamps. She organized everything carefully. Near midnight, a new email arrived. The sender's address was unfamiliar. The subject line read, Retreat Registration Confirmation. Lorraine frowned. She had never registered, never signed up, never provided information. Yet somehow the message had been sent directly to her. She opened it. Attached was a participant packet, schedules, activities, payment information, refund policies, and one final document, a promotional sponsorship proposal. Lorraine opened the file, her breath caught. At the bottom of the proposal sat a section labeled Host Property Control. Beneath it appeared a signature line. Maya Vance had signed her own name, but directly underneath was another signature, a signature claiming to belong to Lorraine Vance. Lorraine stared at it. The handwriting looked similar enough to fool a stranger. maybe even a busy reviewer, but it wasn't hers. Someone had signed her name, and the document had been submitted weeks before she ever moved into the cabin. Lorraine stared at the signature until the letters seemed to blur. It was her name, but it was not her hand. The L was too high, the V was too narrow. The final E in Vance curved backward in a way Lorraine had never written it. Anyone who had seen her signature only once might have believed it. A rushed sponsor coordinator might have accepted it. A stranger reviewing a stack of forms might not have looked twice. Lorraine looked twice. Then she looked a third time. The document sat open on her laptop while the cabin slept around her. Somewhere upstairs, someone coughed behind a closed door. A pipe clicked softly in the wall. Outside, tires shifted on gravel as someone moved near one of the cars. The house that was supposed to give her peace now felt full of evidence and risk. She did not print the document. Not yet. The printer was in the living room, and the living room had become another person's storage space. Instead, she downloaded the file, saved it under a clear name, and forwarded it to herself with the subject line, "Possible forged signature brand proposal." Then she opened the original closing documents stored in her cloud drive. Her real signature was there, clean and familiar at the bottom of the purchase agreement. She saved a copy beside the sponsorship proposal, one true signature, one false one, side by side. For several minutes she sat very still. Anger came first, then fear, then something sharper than both. A decision. If Maya had used Lorraine's name once, Lorraine needed to assume she might do it again. The cabin was no longer just being misused for a weekend. It was being positioned as an asset in someone else's plan. A plan Lorraine had not seen, had not signed, and had not approved. She closed the laptop and stood slowly. Her hip ached from the long day, but she ignored it. In the bedroom closet, she pulled out the suitcase and checked the blue fireproof document bag again. Deed, insurance binder, septic report, closing statement, identification copies, all still there. She added the printed itinerary, the signs Maya had taped to her bedroom door, and the garment tag she had saved earlier. Then she zipped the bag shut and placed it behind the locked panel inside the old cedar chest at the foot of the bed. The panel was stiff and hard to reach. That was why she chose it. At dawn, she made coffee in silence. By then, the cabin had begun waking. A woman came downstairs barefoot and opened the refrigerator without greeting Lorraine. A man in a fleece vest walked through the kitchen holding a camera and asked if the porch faced east or west. Someone else complained that the downstairs bathroom had no extra towels. Lorraine answered none of them. She sat at the end of the table with her phone, her notebook, and a pen. At 6:42 m.m., she wrote the date. At 6:43, she wrote, "Unauthorized occupancy continues. Approximate vehicles, 21, overnight guests unknown. Promotional material present. Possible forged signature discovered." The words looked calm on the page. They did not feel calm inside her body. Maya entered 20 minutes later wearing leggings, a soft beige sweater, and the relaxed smile of a woman trying to recover control. She poured coffee without asking, then leaned against the counter. "You're up early, so are you. I have a full schedule." Lorraine looked at her. "Whose schedule?" Maya's expression tightened. "Not this again. Did you sign my name on a sponsor document?" The question struck the room like a dropped glass. Maya did not move. Her eyes did not widen. She did not ask what document. That told Lorraine something. Then Maya gave a small laugh. "Lorraine, you're confused. No, you've been under stress. New house, too many people, it's a lot." Lorraine picked up her coffee cup and set it back down. "I asked a clear question, and I'm giving you a clear answer. You are turning a family weekend into some kind of investigation." A man by the sink looked between them. Maya noticed him and shifted instantly into public warmth. "Lorraine has been overwhelmed," she said lightly. "We're all just trying to be patient." There it was again, the soft cage. Maya did not need to shout. She only needed to make Lorraine sound unstable in front of people who did not know her. Lorraine closed her notebook. "I'm going into town." Maya straightened. "You can't. We have the morning walk at 10, and I need you here in case people ask about the house. That is not my job." The man by the sink lowered his mug. Maya's smile thinned. "You're really choosing this attitude today?" Lorraine slipped her phone into her purse. "I'm choosing to speak with people who understand property rules." That got Maya's attention. "What does that mean?" "It means I'll be back." Maya stepped forward, lowering her voice. "Do not embarrass me with county people." Lorraine paused near the door. It was the first honest sentence Maya had said all morning. County people. So Maya knew there were rules. She knew there were limits. She just expected Lorraine to absorb the risk quietly. Lorraine opened the front door and walked out before Maya could say anything else. The morning air was cold enough to sting. Cars crowded the driveway and spilled onto the grass near the pines. One vehicle was parked close to the propane tank. 2 more blocked the narrow turnaround. Near the fire pit, a metal bucket overflowed with ash, though a red county notice nailed to a tree warned about seasonal fire restrictions. Lorraine photographed everything: the license plates, the blocked driveway, the propane tank clearance, the fire pit ash, the tire tracks cutting into soft ground near the tree line. Then she drove into town. Her appointment with the property attorney was not until the next day, but she could not wait that long to understand the immediate risk. At the county administration building, a clerk directed her to a public information desk. Lorraine explained only what was necessary: private residence, unexpected group, high guest count, possible event use, fire risk. The woman behind the desk did not act shocked. That almost comforted Lorraine. She listened, asked for the property address, and gave Lorraine 2 numbers: the county fire marshal's office and the sheriff's non-emergency line. "Don't accuse," the clerk said carefully. "Just report what you're seeing and ask what your responsibilities are as the owner." As the owner. Lorraine thanked her. Outside in her parked car, she called the fire marshal's office first. A man named Coleman answered after 2 transfers. His voice was steady, practical, and tired in the way of someone who had heard too many avoidable problems. Lorraine gave him the address. She explained the number of vehicles, the overnight occupancy, the fire pit ash, and the propane tank issue. She did not mention Maya's forged signature. That was for the attorney. For now, she stayed with safety. Coleman asked about bedrooms, bathrooms, septic capacity, and whether the gathering was paid or promoted. Lorraine answered what she knew. There was a pause when she mentioned the event page. "Mom," Coleman said, "I can't make a determination over the phone, but based on what you're describing, I should come take a look." "When?" "Late morning if I can move things around. Keep your documentation. Don't block anyone from leaving. Don't confront anyone physically." "I won't." After that, Lorraine called the sheriff's non-emergency line. She asked about a property check, not an arrest, not a dramatic removal, just advice and a record. The dispatcher transferred her to Deputy Elena Ruiz, who listened without interruption. "Are they threatening you?" Ruiz asked. "Not directly. Do you feel safe in the home?" Lorraine looked through the windshield at the courthouse lawn, then down at her hands. "I feel outnumbered." Ruiz's voice softened slightly. "That matters. I can stop by around the same window as the fire marshal. If nothing else, we can document who is there and make sure everyone understands this is your property." Lorraine swallowed. "Thank you." By the time she returned to the cabin, the morning walk had already started. A cluster of guests stood near the porch holding branded notebooks. Maya was at the center of them, speaking brightly about grounding, ownership, and creating spaces with intention. Lorraine parked near the road and took one more photograph of the crowded driveway. Maya saw her and stopped mid-sentence. The group turned. Lorraine stepped out of the car with her purse over her shoulder, her notebook in one hand, and a stack of freshly printed temporary notices from the copy shop in the other. She walked onto the porch and taped the first notice to the front door. "Private residence, owner authorization required for overnight occupancy, no blocked exits or driveways, no commercial photography or promotional use without written permission from the legal property owner." Maya stared at the page as if Lorraine had slapped her. "What is this?" "A boundary." Maya glanced at the guests, then back at Lorraine. Her voice went low and sharp. "You have no idea what you're interfering with." Lorraine met her eyes. "I'm starting to." Trevor came out of the cabin then, face pale, phone in his hand. He looked from the notice to Lorraine, then to Maya. "Mom," he said quietly, "what did you do?" Lorraine taped the second notice beside the first. "I called the county." The silence that followed spread across the porch, down the steps, and into the group standing on the gravel. Maya's face changed completely. Not anger first, fear. Then Trevor's phone buzzed, and he looked down. Whatever message he read made his shoulders drop. He turned the screen slightly away from Lorraine, but she saw enough. A new text from Maya's sponsor contact. "Need clarification immediately. County compliance issue. Also need proof of owner authorization." Trevor kept the phone angled close to his chest, but the damage was already done. Lorraine had seen the message. "Need clarification immediately. County compliance issue. Also need proof of owner authorization." For several seconds, no one on the porch moved. The guests stood in a loose half-circle on the gravel, notebooks in hand, faces shifting from polite confusion to something more cautious. Maya's eyes stayed fixed on Trevor's phone. Her mouth opened once, then closed. "Who is that from?" Lorraine asked. Trevor looked at Maya before he looked at his mother. That was answer enough. Maya stepped forward quickly. "It's nothing." A sponsor contact got some mixed information. Mixed information, Lorraine repeated. Yes, Maya said, turning her smile toward the guests. There's been a misunderstanding about paperwork. Happens all the time with small private properties. Lorraine felt the old instinct rise in her, the instinct to let the room breathe again, to smooth the moment over, to make herself smaller so everyone else could stop feeling uncomfortable. But then she saw the notice she had taped to the door, her own words, private residence, owner authorization required. For once, she had put a boundary where people could see it. She would not take it down. A dark green county truck appeared at the bend in the dirt road just before 11. It moved slowly, carefully past the parked cars crowding both sides of the driveway. A few guests stepped back to make room. The truck stopped near the porch, and a man in a county jacket stepped out with a clipboard under one arm. Maya inhaled sharply beside Trevor. The man looked over the vehicles first. He did not rush. He noted the blocked turnaround, the tire tracks, the cargo van near the trees, and the SUV parked too close to the propane tank. Then he walked toward the porch. Mrs. Vance, he asked. Lorraine stepped forward. That's me, Daniel Coleman, County Fire Marshal's office. His voice was calm, not dramatic. That made it more frightening for Maya. He was not there for an argument. He was there to look, record, and decide what needed to happen next. Lorraine handed him the printed notices she had posted, along with a copy of the property address and the basic notes she had written that morning. I appreciate you coming, she said. I'm trying to understand what my responsibilities are as the owner. Coleman nodded. That's the right question. Maya gave a soft laugh. This really isn't necessary. We're just having a small family retreat. Coleman glanced at the driveway. How many people are on site? Maya answered quickly. Not that many. Lorraine said at least 30, possibly more. 21 vehicles when I counted this morning. Coleman looked from Lorraine to Maya. Are all of them overnight guests? Maya's smile stiffened. Some are only here for the day. Lorraine opened her notebook. Several stayed overnight. I don't know the exact number because no one asked permission or checked in with me. A murmur passed through the guests. Trevor stepped closer. Mom, maybe we don't need to do this in front of everyone. Lorraine did not turn toward him. Everyone is here because your wife invited them to my house. That silenced him. Coleman asked to see the septic permit, the fire pit area, the driveway access, and the main exits. Lorraine had the septic paperwork copied from her document folder. She handed it to him without hesitation. Maya watched that exchange closely. Lorraine saw the surprise in her face. Maya had expected confusion. Instead, Lorraine had paperwork. They walked the property together. Trevor followed. Maya followed too, though every step seemed to irritate her. Several guests trailed at a distance until Coleman turned and politely asked them to remain near the porch. At the fire pit, Coleman crouched and touched the ash with gloved fingers. This was used recently. Maya answered before Lorraine could. Just briefly last night. It was controlled. Coleman pointed toward a red notice posted on a tree near the clearing. There's a seasonal fire restriction active in this area. Open flame is limited, and in some conditions prohibited. Who lit it? No one spoke. Lorraine wrote the question in her notebook. Maya noticed. Are you seriously writing that down? Yes. You're acting like we committed a crime. I'm acting like I may be responsible for what happens on my land. The words changed the air between them. It was not anger. It was ownership. Coleman examined the driveway next. Emergency vehicle access is compromised, he said. If there were a medical call or fire response, this would slow entry. Trevor looked at the line of cars and swallowed. We can move them. You should, Coleman said, today. Maya crossed her arms. Fine, we'll adjust parking. Is that all? No, Coleman said. The word landed flat and firm. Inside the cabin, he counted sleeping areas, bathrooms, exits, smoke detectors, and the electrical load near the camera equipment. He did not accuse anyone. He did not need to. The facts were visible. Bags in hallways, extension cords crossing a walking path, a cooler blocking the back door, 2 air mattresses in the loft, another folded mattress half hidden behind the couch. Lorraine photographed each item after Coleman documented it. Maya's expression darkened. You're humiliating me. Lorraine lowered her phone. No, I'm recording what exists. Before Maya could respond, a sheriff's cruiser rolled into the driveway. Deputy Elena Ruiz stepped out in uniform, her movements measured and professional. She spoke briefly with Coleman, then approached Lorraine. Mrs. Vance? Lorraine nodded. I'm Deputy Ruiz. You requested a property check. Maya immediately stepped forward. Deputy, I need to explain. Lorraine has been overwhelmed. She just moved in, and I think the stress is making her misunderstand the situation. Ruiz looked at her. And you are? Maya Vance, her daughter-in-law. Do you own or lease this property? Maya's face tightened. It's family property. Ruiz did not write that down immediately. She waited. Lorraine opened the copy folder she had prepared and handed over the first page of the closing statement. The property is solely in my name. Ruiz read it, then looked back at Maya. So not family property in a legal sense. Maya's smile disappeared. Trevor finally spoke. It's my mother's cabin. The words were quiet, but Lorraine heard them. It was the first time since the cars arrived that Trevor had said the simple truth out loud. Maya turned toward him sharply. Trevor. He did not look at her. Ruiz asked Lorraine if anyone had threatened her, blocked her from leaving, or refused a direct request to leave. Lorraine answered carefully. No direct threat, no physical restraint. But they had entered without permission, exceeded what she had been told, and promoted the property without her consent. Do you have documentation? Ruiz asked. Lorraine held up her phone. Yes. Maya laughed once, short and bitter. Of course she does. Ruiz looked at Maya. Documentation helps. That small sentence shifted something. For years, Maya had made Lorraine's carefulness sound like paranoia. Now someone in uniform had called it useful. Lorraine showed the itinerary first, then the event page, then the sponsor proposal with the forged signature, though she stopped before accusing Maya directly. I received this by email last night, she said. I did not sign it. Ruiz's expression became more focused. You'll want to preserve the original email and speak with an attorney about that. I have an appointment scheduled. Good. Maya's voice rose. This is ridiculous. That document was preliminary. It doesn't mean anything. Lorraine turned to her. Then why did it have my name on it? Maya did not answer. A guest near the kitchen doorway whispered, Wait, she didn't sign? Another voice answered, I thought Maya said it was approved. The whisper moved faster than any announcement could have. Coleman returned from the hallway with his clipboard. At minimum, the current occupancy appears inconsistent with the septic capacity and safe use of this residence. I'm not issuing a formal citation at this moment, but the situation needs correction immediately. Reduce the number of overnight occupants, clear the exits, move the vehicles, and no open flame. Maya looked relieved at the word minimum, but Coleman was not finished. If this continues, or if this is being operated as a paid event, there may be additional code and permitting issues. The guests heard that clearly. Paid event. Several faces turned toward Maya. Ruiz looked at Lorraine. Do you want anyone removed right now? The question sat in the room like a loaded weight. Lorraine felt Trevor watching her. She felt Maya daring her to say yes. She felt 30 strangers waiting to see whether the old mother-in-law would finally become the problem Maya had described. Lorraine took a slow breath. Not by force, she said, not today. But I want it documented that no one has my permission to remain overnight unless I give it in writing. Ruiz nodded. That's clear. Maya stepped closer, voice low. You are destroying something I worked for. Lorraine looked at her. You built it on something that wasn't yours. Maya's face drained of color. By late afternoon, cars were being moved. Bags were being pulled from hallways. Guests spoke in tighter groups, quieter than before. The retreat had not ended, but it had cracked. The performance no longer looked effortless. The people who had arrived smiling now checked their phones and whispered about refunds, liability, and permission. Trevor stood near the porch railing, staring into the trees. Lorraine passed him without speaking. Inside, she sat at the dining table and updated her notes. Coleman warning, Ruiz property check, occupancy issue, no written permission, sponsor document shown. Maya did not deny existence, only minimized. Then she opened her laptop to save the newest files. A fresh message had arrived from the same event platform. Subject, host dashboard access updated. Lorraine's hand tightened on the mouse. She opened it. The email thanked Maya Vance for updating the host property profile. Below that was a line that made Lorraine's chest go still. Authorized owner contact changed from Lorraine Vance to Trevor Vance at 9:14 a.m. Lorraine read the line twice before she moved. Authorized owner contact changed from Lorraine Vance to Trevor Vance at 9:14 a.m. At 9:14, she had been in town calling the county. Trevor had been at the cabin with Maya. The platform did not say ownership had changed. It did not say the deed had changed. But the words still made her skin go cold. Authorized owner contact. Someone had taken her name off a property profile connected to Maya's retreat and replaced it with her son's. Not Maya's, Trevor's. Lorraine saved the email as a PDF. She took screenshots of the subject line, sender address, timestamp, and the owner contact line. Then she opened the message details and photographed the routing information as best she could. She did not understand all of it, but she understood enough to preserve it. Her hands were steady. That frightened her a little. A day ago, she might have cried first. Now she documented first. Feeling could come later. The The cabin was quieter than it had been that morning, but not peaceful. People moved in careful clusters. The official visit had changed the tone. Guests who had treated the place like a lodge now avoided making eye contact with Lorraine. A few packed bags. Others sat outside on their phones, whispering. Lorraine closed the laptop and walked to the porch. Trevor was still by the railing, staring at the tree line as if the pines might offer him a way out. He looked up when she stepped outside. "We need to talk," she said. He nodded too quickly. "I know, not about feelings. About a record." His face tightened. "What record?" She held up her phone and showed him the email. He read it. His expression moved from confusion to alarm. "I didn't do that." Lorraine watched him closely. "You're listed." "I didn't change anything. Did Maya have access to your email, your phone, any account tied to that retreat?" He looked toward the cabin door. That answer came before his words. "She uses my email for some business forms," he said quietly. "Sometimes, if I'm driving or if she needs a quick confirmation." Lorraine stared at him. "You gave her permission to act as you." "No, not like that. What does not like that mean?" Trevor rubbed both hands over his face. "She sends things from my account when they involve family. Hotels, reservations, events." It was easier. The word had done so much damage in Lorraine's life. Easier to move her to the basement. Easier to let Maya speak. Easier to assume Lorraine would adjust. Easier to use Trevor's email than ask questions. Every time something had been easier for them, it had become harder for her. "Trevor," Lorraine said, "did you receive anything asking you to confirm access to my property?" "I don't know. That is not an answer." He looked exhausted. "I don't read every email." Lorraine let the silence sit between them. Then she said, "Start now." Trevor's mouth opened slightly. She did not wait for him to argue. "Take out your phone. Search the platform name. Search my cabin address. Search Maya's business email now." He glanced toward the cabin again, fear crossing his face. Lorraine saw it. Not fear of the truth, fear of Maya's reaction. That hurt more than she wanted it to. "Your wife used your name to replace mine on a property contact record," Lorraine said. "If that happened without you knowing, you should want to know how." His jaw tightened. For a second, she thought he might refuse. Then he took out his phone. He searched slowly at first, then faster. Email after email appeared. Confirmation requests, retreat drafts, platform notices, Maya's business address copied on several threads. Trevor's thumb stopped on one message dated 2 weeks earlier. Lorraine watched his face go pale. "What?" she asked. He did not answer Trevor. He turned the phone toward her. The email was from the event platform. Its wording was plain and polite. "Please confirm that you are authorized to act as family representative for the property owner regarding Mountain Reset Retreat." Below it was a button marked Confirm. The message had been opened. Trevor swallowed. "I don't remember this." "But it was opened, yes. And confirmed?" He scrolled. The next email showed a confirmation receipt. "Family representative confirmed." Lorraine stepped back. The porch railing pressed lightly against her hip. Trevor looked shattered, but shock did not erase responsibility. "You gave them the door," she said. "I didn't know what it was." "You didn't look." His eyes filled with something like shame. "Maya said it was just a form, and that was enough for you." Down the porch, Claire came out carrying a tote bag and stopped when she saw their faces. She hesitated, then approached carefully. "I'm sorry," she said. "I don't want to interrupt, but people are asking whether they should leave." Trevor looked away. Lorraine turned to Claire. "That's their choice today, but no one has written permission to stay overnight." Claire nodded, her cheeks colored. "For what it's worth, most of us thought this was approved. Maya made it sound like a family-owned place she was managing." Lorraine studied her. Claire looked embarrassed, not defensive. "Did you pay her?" Lorraine asked. Claire lowered her voice. "The agency paid a package fee. I don't know what individuals paid." "Agency?" Claire hesitated. "The sponsor-adjacent group. Not the main sponsor, but a partner vendor. I can send you what I received if you want." It was not an offer Lorraine expected. "Yes," she said. "I would." Claire gave her a small nod and went back inside. Trevor stared at the door after her. "This is worse than she told me." Lorraine looked at him. "No, it is worse than you allowed yourself to know." He flinched, but he did not deny it. Inside, Maya's voice cut through the room. "Trevor?" He stiffened. Lorraine saw him become smaller in an instant. His shoulders lowered. His face shifted into that familiar neutral mask. The one he wore when he wanted conflict to pass over him without leaving a mark. Maya stepped onto the porch. She looked from Trevor's phone to Lorraine's face. "What are you two doing?" Trevor did not answer. Lorraine did, reviewing the emails. Maya's eyes sharpened. "Private emails?" "Property emails." Maya laughed once. "You have no right to go through my husband's phone." Trevor finally spoke, though his voice was quiet. "It's my phone." Maya turned on him. "And you're letting her interrogate you now?" No one is interrogating him, Lorraine said. He is checking whether his name was used to remove mine. Maya's expression hardened. For one moment, the charming host vanished entirely. You are making yourself look unstable, she said. Trevor looked at Maya then. Really looked. Did you use my email to confirm property access? Maya stared at him as if he had betrayed her by asking. I handled paperwork you refused to help with. That's not an answer, he said. Lorraine heard the shift in his voice. Small but real. Maya heard it too, her face flushed. You knew this weekend mattered. You knew I needed this opportunity. You told me your mother would eventually come around. Trevor looked stricken. Lorraine absorbed the words quietly. There it was again. Eventually. Maya had built her plan not on permission, but on the expectation that Lorraine could be worn down. A gust of wind moved through the porch, lifting the edge of Lorraine's posted notice. She pressed it flat against the door and smoothed the tape down with 2 fingers. I won't be coming around, she said. Maya stepped closer. Then you can explain to 30 people why their weekend is ruined. Lorraine looked at the crowded driveway, the marked-up ground, the blocked turnaround, the people whispering behind windows. She thought of the forged signature, the platform change. Trevor's opened email, the county warning, the fire pit ash. No, she said, you can. Maya's mouth tightened. Before she could respond, Claire returned holding her phone. Mrs. Vance? Lorraine turned. Claire looked nervous but determined. I sent you the vendor packet. It includes the package fee, the retreat description, and the property authorization page we were given. Maya's face went still. Lorraine's phone buzzed. The email arrived with 4 attachments. She opened the first one. It was the retreat packet Claire had promised. The second showed payment terms. The third showed the promotional property page. The fourth was labeled Owner Consent Form Final. Lorraine opened it. The document displayed her cabin address, Trevor's name as family representative, and Maya's as event host. At the bottom was Lorraine's forged signature again, but this version included one additional line the earlier proposal had not shown. Power of attorney authorization pending. Lorraine did not speak. Trevor leaned closer, read the line, and went white. Maya reached for the phone. Lorraine pulled it back before Maya could touch it. For the first time all day, Maya looked truly afraid. Maya's hand hung in the air for one sharp second before she pulled it back. Lorraine kept the phone against her chest, not out of panic, but out of instinct. For years, she had handed things over too easily. Receipts, bills, spare keys, her time, her silence. This time, she held on. Trevor stared at the line on the document as if the words had rearranged his life. Power of attorney authorization pending. He looked from Lorraine to Maya. What is that? Maya's face hardened. It's standard language. No, Lorraine said. It isn't. Maya snapped her eyes toward her. You don't know how sponsorship paperwork works. I know how my name works. Claire stood frozen near the porch door, clearly regretting that she had stepped into the center of something larger than a vendor packet. A few guests had gathered just inside the living room pretending to listen. No one was laughing now. No one treated Lorraine like staff. The room had changed. It was cautious, watchful. Maya seemed to feel that change and hated it. This is exactly why I didn't want to involve you in the details, she said, voice tight but controlled. You see one phrase and turn it into an accusation. Lorraine opened the attachment again and enlarged the bottom section. Her forged signature sat above the line about pending authorization. Trevor's name appeared above that as family representative. Maya's name was printed under event host. 3 names. Only 2 people in the room seemed to know how they had gotten there. Lorraine looked at Trevor. Did you sign anything involving power of attorney? His answer came quickly this time. No. Did you discuss it with Maya? He swallowed. Not for this. For what then? Maya stepped between them. Do not twist a private family conversation into something ugly. Lorraine did not move. What private family conversation? Trevor looked down. Maya turned on him. Don't. That single word told Lorraine there was more. Trevor rubbed his jaw, then spoke without looking at his wife. Months ago, after Mom started talking about moving out, Maya said it might be smart to have emergency paperwork in place. Lorraine's chest tightened. Emergency paperwork. In case something happened, he said quietly. Health decisions, bills, access if you fell or got confused, that kind of thing. Maya seized the opening. Exactly. Practical adult planning, not a crime. Lorraine turned slowly toward her. And did you ask me? Maya's mouth tightened. Lorraine looked back at Trevor. Did you? He did not answer. A painful quiet settled between them. It was not the shock of a new betrayal. It was worse. It was the confirmation of something old. While Lorraine had been carefully planning her way back into independence, Trevor and Maya had been discussing paperwork that would make her less independent. Not openly, not with her, around her. as if her life were a problem to be managed. Lorraine lowered the phone and took one step toward the table inside. She sat down, opened her notebook, and wrote the phrase exactly. Power of attorney discussed without my consent. Trevor admits emergency paperwork conversation. Maya calls it practical planning. Maya laughed sharply. Are you writing a diary or building a case? Lorraine kept writing, both apparently. Trevor flinched. Maya's face flushed. You are unbelievable. No, Lorraine said, still writing. I was unbelievable when I ignored things. I'm believable now. That silenced the room more effectively than shouting could have. Claire quietly said, Mrs. Vance, I should probably leave. Lorraine looked up. You can decide what is right for you. Thank you for sending the packet. Claire nodded, then turned toward the stairs to collect her things. Several others followed her movement with their eyes. A retreat began to unravel differently from a party. It did not explode. It deflated. People checked emails. They compared what they had paid with what they had been promised. They wondered whether their names were attached to something improper. Maya watched Claire walk away, and panic flashed across her face. Then she turned back to Lorraine. You don't understand the position you're putting me in. Lorraine closed the notebook. You put yourself here. I worked for this. You used my home for it. I was trying to build something for our family. Our family, Lorraine repeated. The family where I slept in a basement after surgery while paying utility bills in my name? Trevor closed his eyes. Maya's expression went colder. You offered to help. I offered to recover under my son's roof for a few months. You turned that into 6 years of free labor. The words came out steady, and once spoken, they seemed to stand in the room by themselves. No one moved to soften them. Trevor opened his eyes. His face had changed. Not enough to fix anything, not enough to erase years, but the shield was cracking. Mom, he said quieter than before. I didn't realize you saw it like that. Lorraine looked at him. That is the problem, Trevor. You didn't look. He stared at the floor. Maya gave a short, humorless laugh. So now this is about the basement again. It was always about the basement, Lorraine said. You just thought the basement had followed me here. For the first time, Maya had no quick answer. A car engine started outside. Then another. A guest came down the stairs, carrying 2 bags, and avoided Maya's eyes as he passed. Another woman whispered into her phone near the hallway, saying she was leaving before things got complicated. The cabin that had felt occupied by force began to release its grip. Maya saw it too. She grabbed Trevor's arm. Tell them it's fine. Trevor looked at her hand, then at the guests moving toward the door. I don't know that it is. Maya's fingers tightened. Trevor. He gently removed her hand. The movement was small, almost invisible. But Lorraine saw it, Maya saw it too, and something in her expression broke open. You are choosing this? She whispered. I'm asking what you signed, he said. I signed paperwork to keep an opportunity alive, with my mother's name. I handled what needed handling. The sentence escaped before Maya could polish it. Lorraine wrote it down immediately. Maya's eyes snapped to the notebook. Stop writing. No, I said stop. Lorraine looked up. You don't give me orders in my house. Outside, Deputy Ruiz's cruiser was gone and Coleman's truck had left earlier, but their presence lingered in the posted notices, in the moved cars, in the guests now asking questions. Maya no longer had the advantage of a private room and a crowd that trusted her. She had exposure. Lorraine stood slowly. Everyone staying tonight needs written permission from me. Anyone here as part of a paid event needs to speak with Maya about refund or relocation. I will not host a commercial retreat. A woman near the stairs raised her hand slightly, awkwardly. So we can't stay? Lorraine looked at her. Not as paying guests, not under false approval, not under my name. The woman nodded and turned to leave. Maya's face had gone pale with rage. You are going to cost me the sponsor. Lorraine did not answer. Trevor did. Maya, we need to call them and tell the truth. She spun toward him. The truth? The truth is your mother is sabotaging us because she can't stand that I have a future. Lorraine felt the blow, but it no longer landed in the same place. Maya's cruelty was no longer hidden. It had an audience now. Trevor said nothing. Lorraine stepped past them and went upstairs to check the bedroom. Her suitcase was still in the closet. The cedar chest remained closed. She opened the hidden panel, confirmed the blue document bag was untouched, and added the printed copy of Claire's vendor packet after making 2 quick scans with her phone. When she returned downstairs, the living room had thinned. Bags were gone. The camera equipment near the fireplace had been packed into cases. The cooler that had blocked the back door now sat outside on the porch. At the dining table, Maya was bent over her laptop, typing furiously. Trevor stood behind her, not close enough to touch. Lorraine moved quietly toward the kitchen. Then she heard Maya's voice, low but clear. No, don't cancel anything yet. I can still get her to sign something limited. She doesn't understand what she's looking at. Lorraine stopped. Maya listened, then answered, because she trusts Trevor more than she trusts me. If he asks, she'll do it. Trevor's face drained of color. Maya looked up and realized both of them had heard. Her hand froze over the keyboard. Lorraine did not speak right away. She simply opened her phone, tapped the recording app, and placed it face down on the counter. Then she looked at her son. Well, she said quietly, now we know what she planned to do next. Lorraine left the phone recording on the counter. She did not announce it. She did not wave it in Maya's face. She simply let it sit there, dark screen down, collecting whatever came next. If Maya believed Lorraine did not understand what she was looking at, then Lorraine wanted that belief preserved exactly as spoken. Maya noticed the phone after a few seconds. Her eyes flicked to it, then back to Lorraine. Are you recording me? Lorraine picked up the phone and stopped the recording. I'm preserving what happens in my house. Maya gave a cold laugh. You think that makes you powerful? No, Lorraine said. I think it makes me careful. Trev was still staring at his wife. The color had not returned to his face. He looked like a man realizing that the room he had been standing in for years had no floor beneath it. But Lorraine did not comfort him. He had heard Maya with his own ears. He did not need his mother to explain betrayal to him. Maya closed the laptop with a hard snap. This has gone far enough. I agree, Lorraine said. Good, then stop this. No. The word was small. It landed clean. Maya's jaw tightened. You are going to destroy my reputation over a misunderstanding. Lorraine looked toward the living room, where the retreat had thinned into scattered bags and awkward whispers. Your reputation is not my responsibility. Trevor finally spoke. Maya, what were you trying to get her to sign? Maya turned on him. A limited authorization, temporary, for event use, nothing harmful. Lorraine felt the phrase settle into place with the others. Limited authorization, emergency paperwork, power of attorney pending, permanent access confirmed. Each one sounded harmless alone. Together they formed a path. Where is it? Lorraine asked. Maya blinked. Where is what? The paper you planned to have Trevor bring me. I'd have to answer that. In my house, you do. Maya stood, grabbed her phone, and walked toward the hallway. I'm not doing this with an audience. Lorraine followed at a steady pace. Trevor followed them both. Maya went into the downstairs guest room where she had stored several boxes of branded materials. She tried to close the door, but Lorraine placed one hand flat against it before it latched. That room is not private, Lorraine said. Maya glared at her. My things are in here. My property is under them. For a moment, neither woman moved. Then Trevor stepped around them and looked into the room. Boxes were stacked against the wall. Tripod cases leaned in a corner. Tote bags with the retreat logo sat on the bed. On the dresser beneath a folded beige jacket, Lorraine saw a familiar dark green folder. Her breath stopped. The folder had a small tear near the top right corner. She knew that tear. It had happened years ago when she carried tax papers through Trevor's kitchen and caught the edge on a drawer handle. She stepped inside. Maya moved quickly, too quickly. That's mine. Lorraine reached the dresser first and placed her hand on the folder. No, she said, it isn't. Mazia's face changed. Trevor saw it. Lorraine opened the folder. Inside were copies of her pension statements, old utility bills from Trevor's house still carrying her name, a photocopy of her driver's license, insurance paperwork from her hip surgery, and several pages of handwritten notes. Some were Maya's neat block letters. Some were printed from online articles about elder financial planning, family representatives, and emergency property success. Lorraine did not touch the papers at first. She looked at them, one by one. For 6 years, Maya had made Lorraine feel foolish for being cautious, too sensitive, too suspicious, too old-fashioned. Yet here were Lorraine's personal documents, gathered and sorted inside Maya's retreat room like tools waiting to be used. Trevor whispered, Maya. Maya lifted her chin. Those are copies. She left papers all over our house for years. Lorraine looked at her. In my basement room? It was our house. There it was. Not Trevor's house. Not the house Lorraine had helped keep running. Our house. The word carried the same entitlement as family property, retreat location, host use. Maya named things until they felt like hers. Lorraine took out her phone and photographed the folder exactly where it lay. Then she photographed each page without removing it from the room. She knew enough now not to disturb evidence before recording context. Maya reached toward the folder. Trevor caught her wrist. It was not rough, it was not dramatic, but he stopped her. Maya stared at his hand on her arm. Let go, he did, but he did not apologize. Lorraine lifted the folder and carried it to the dining table. Guests moved aside as she passed. No one asked what it was. Maybe they could read enough from her face. She sat down and began sorting the papers into 3 piles. Personal identification, financial records, medical and insurance papers. Her hands shook once when she saw the hospital discharge summary from her hip surgery. Maya had saved a copy, not the kind a caring daughter-in-law kept in case of emergency. This one had sticky notes attached. Uses walker, needs help with stairs, lives with son, possible dependency history. Lorraine stared at the note. A chill ran through her body. Trevor leaned over and saw it, his face twisted. "I didn't know that was in there," he said. Lorraine did not answer. Maya folded her arms. "It was for context. If we ever needed to help you." "Help me do what?" Lorraine asked. Maya said nothing. Lorraine took another photo. Then she placed the medical page in a separate pile and wrote in her notebook, "Medical details copied and annotated without consent." The cabin had grown quiet again, not peaceful. Witness quiet. Claire stood near the door with her bag over her shoulder. Kevin stood beside the porch window. 2 other guests had their phones in their hands, but were not recording, only watching. Maya hated the eyes on her. Lorraine could feel it. Maya lowered her voice. "You're making a serious mistake by turning private family care into an accusation." Lorraine looked up. "Private family care does not require hiding my papers in your event supplies." Maya's mouth tightened. Lorraine turned to Trevor. "Did you give her these?" "No. Did you know she had them?" "No. Did you ask what documents she copied from my things?" He looked down. "No." The answer was honest this time. It was also not enough. Lorraine gathered the pages back into the folder carefully. She kept them in the same order she found them. Then she placed the folder inside the blue document bag she retrieved from upstairs, added a note describing where it had been found, and zipped it closed. Maya watched every motion. "You can't just take my materials." Lorraine looked at her. "These are my records. They were in my bag. That makes it worse." Trevor stepped closer. "Mom, what are you going to do?" Lorraine wanted to say she did not know, but that would have been the old Lorraine, the one waiting for someone else to define the next step. "I'm calling my bank," she said. "Then my attorney." Maya's eyes narrowed. "Attorney?" "Yes." Trevor looked pained. "Maybe we can handle this without." Lorraine turned to him so quickly he stopped. "Without what?" "Without a record, without help, without anyone outside this family seeing what has been done." He said nothing. "I handled things quietly for 6 years," Lorraine said. "That is why we're here." She carried the blue bag to the bedroom and locked it in the cedar chest. Then she sat on the edge of the bed and called her bank's customer service number from the card in her wallet, not from any link or email. She verified her identity, asked for additional security, and requested that online recovery be temporarily restricted. The representative was polite, careful, professional. She could not discuss hypothetical fraud. She could, however, add a verbal password, flag unusual access attempts, and review recent account security activity. Lorraine waited through the soft hold music with her hand pressed against the cedar chest. When the representative came back, her tone had changed slightly. "Mrs. Vance, I do see a recent online access recovery request that did not complete." Lorraine sat straighter. "When?" "Yesterday afternoon." The room seemed to shrink. Was it successful? No, it was blocked because it failed secondary verification. Lorraine closed her eyes for 1 second. "Can you tell me what information was used?" "I can't provide all details, but I can say the attempt included your previous address, date of birth, and partial account information." The previous address, Trevor and Maya's house. Lorraine opened her eyes. The representative continued, "I recommend changing your online banking username and password, keeping the verbal password in place, and visiting a branch with identification if you want a printed security review." "I will." After the call, Lorraine stayed seated for a moment. The cabin noise felt far away, the retreat, the forged signature, the folder, the power of attorney line. Each piece had seemed outrageous when it appeared. Now they were beginning to connect. Someone had not only used her home, someone had tried to reach her money. Downstairs, Maya's voice rose sharply. "Where is she?" Trevor answered, too low for Lorraine to make out. Lorraine stood, placed the phone in her pocket, and walked to the bedroom door. She did not open it right away. Her attorney appointment was no longer just about property use. It was about protection. Then her phone buzzed with a new bank alert. A security notice appeared on the screen. "Online recovery attempt blocked. Device location near Vance residence. Contact branch immediately if this was not you." Lorraine stood in the bedroom doorway with the bank alert glowing in her hand. "Online recovery attempt blocked. Device location near Vance residence. Contact branch immediately if this was not you." For a moment, the cabin seemed to tilt around her, not because she was confused, because the truth had moved closer than she wanted it to. Someone near this property had tried to reach her account, not last year, not during some vague family discussion. Now, while the cabin was full of people Maya had brought, while Lorraine's personal documents sat hidden in a folder among retreat supplies. She took a screenshot before the alert disappeared. Then she forwarded it to herself. Then she opened her notebook and wrote the time. Bank alert received. Recovery attempt blocked. Device location near Vance residence. Her handwriting was smaller than usual, but steady. Downstairs, Maya was still speaking in a tight, angry voice. Trevor answered once, low and strained. Lorraine could not make out the words. She did not try. For the first time since the cars arrived, she understood that listening through walls was not enough. She needed records, names, systems, and people outside the family. She called the bank again from the bedroom. This time she asked for the fraud prevention department. The hold lasted nearly 8 minutes. During that time, she sat on the edge of the bed and looked at the cedar chest. The blue document bag was inside, locked away with the folder, copies, and proof that her name had been used without permission. She placed her palm on the lid as if it were something alive that needed guarding. When a specialist came on the line, Lorraine explained calmly that she had not attempted account recovery and that she was concerned someone with access to personal documents had tried to enter her account. The specialist asked careful questions. Had she shared her password? No. Had anyone else handled her banking? No. Had she recently changed phones? No. Had she authorized a family member to manage online access? No. Each no felt important. The specialist could not give her every technical detail, but she confirmed the attempted recovery had used personal identifying information and partial account data. The device had not completed verification. The account was not accessed. Lorraine asked for stronger restrictions. The specialist offered to disable online recovery temporarily, require in-person verification for profile changes, add a verbal passphrase, and flag the account for suspicious family access concerns. The last phrase made Lorraine pause. Family access concerns, she repeated. It's a category we can note, the specialist said gently. It does not accuse anyone. It tells our staff to slow down and verify carefully. Add it, Lorraine said. When the call ended, she had a confirmation number. She wrote it in her notebook, photographed the page, and saved it to the evidence folder. Then she changed her banking password using cellular data, not the cabin Wi-Fi, and changed the password on her email account too. She signed out of all other sessions. Only after that did she go downstairs. The living room had thinned further. At least half the guests were gone or packing. Camera cases sat by the door. The branded notebooks were stacked in an untidy pile on the coffee table. A wine glass had left a ring on the wood beside them. Lorraine noticed it, photographed it, and kept walking. Maya stood in the kitchen with Trevor, her laptop open again. The moment Lorraine entered, Maya closed it. Lorraine saw the movement. Trevor saw it too. Maya lifted her chin. Are you finished calling strangers about private family matters? Lorraine placed her notebook on the dining table. I called my bank. Maya's face did not change enough for anyone else to notice. Lorraine noticed. Why would you do that? Maya asked. Because someone tried to recover access to my account from near this property. Trevor went still. Maya looked offended. And you're implying what? Exactly? I'm saying what happened. That is not an answer. It is the only answer I'm giving without an attorney. The word attorney changed the temperature of the room. Trevor rubbed his forehead. Mom, maybe we should all sit down before this gets worse. Lorraine looked at him. It already got worse. You just keep noticing late. He flinched, and for a second she regretted the sharpness. Then she remembered the platform email, his name replacing hers, his opened confirmation, his silence while Maya planned to use him to get Lorraine's signature. Regret passed. Maya crossed her arms. You're escalating this because you're embarrassed. No, Lorraine said. I'm protecting myself because you gave me reason to. Maya laughed softly. From your own family. Lorraine met her eyes, especially from family when family starts using my name. Trevor looked down. Maya's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and turned away. Lorraine saw the sender name before the screen tilted out of view. Grant Outdoor Collective, the sponsor. Maya read the message, and all color left her cheeks. Trevor noticed. What did they say? Nothing. Maya. She snapped the phone against her chest. It's being handled. Lorraine picked up the branded notebook from the table and opened the first page. There was a printed welcome message inside. Maya's name at the bottom. Beneath it, in smaller text, was a paragraph thanking attendees for supporting the launch of a recurring mountain retreat series. Recurring. Lorraine had seen the future retreat page, but seeing it printed inside materials already placed in her home made the plan feel less abstract. Maya had not hoped for a weekend. She had planned a business line. Lorraine took a photograph. Maya slammed her palm on the counter. Stop taking pictures of everything. No. You are acting insane, Trevor said quietly. Don't call her that. The room froze. Maya turned toward him slowly. What did you say? Trevor looked as if he wanted to swallow the words back, but this time he did not. I said, don't call her insane. It was not enough to heal anything. It was not even brave enough to impress Lorraine. But it was the first time he had corrected Maya in front of her. Maya's expression became smooth and dangerous. You're letting her turn you against me. No, Lorraine said before Trevor could answer. You did that when you hid my documents in your luggage. Maya's eyes flashed. Those were copies of my private records you left in our house. Lorraine stepped closer. I lived there because I was recovering from surgery. I trusted my son's home. That did not make my papers yours. Maya looked away first. The victory was small, but Lorraine felt it. Her phone rang before anyone spoke again. The screen showed a local number. She answered and stepped toward the hallway. Mrs. Vance? This is Marjorie Hale's office. We received your consultation request. Miss Hale had a cancellation this afternoon if you're able to come in. Lorraine closed her eyes briefly. Yes, she said, I can come. The assistant asked if she had documents to bring. Lorraine almost laughed, though nothing was funny. I do. She ended the call and went upstairs without explaining herself. In the bedroom, she unlocked the cedar chest and removed the blue document bag. She added the notebook, a flash drive, printed notices, and a handwritten list of all digital files. She kept the originals separate from the copies. She placed the bank confirmation number in the front pocket. When she came back down, Trevor was waiting near the stairs. Where are you going? To an attorney. His face tightened. Mom, please, that word again. Please, the old request. The soft leash. Please don't upset Maya. Please go along with it. Please make this easier. Lorraine stopped 2 steps above him. If you want to help me, tell your wife to remove every guest, every camera, every sign, and every business item from my property before I return. He swallowed. And if she won't, then decide whether you're still hiding behind her. She walked past him. Maya stood by the kitchen island, watching with a look that tried to be contempt and almost succeeded. Run to a lawyer if you want. It won't change what people already think. Lorraine paused at the front door. What do people think? Maya smiled, but her eyes were cold. That you're overwhelmed, that you're confused, that Trevor has been trying to manage your affairs because he loves you. Trevor's face twisted. Maya, stop. Maya did not stop. That matters, Lorraine. Pattern matters. Lorraine looked at her for a long moment. She understood then that Maya's plan had 2 parts. Use the cabin as if permission existed. Make Lorraine's refusal look like decline. Property and reputation, both under attack. Lorraine opened the door. Before leaving, she turned back once. Her voice was calm. Then I'll bring the pattern with me. She drove into town with the document bag buckled into the passenger seat like something precious. At Marjorie Hale's office, the receptionist led her into a room lined with file cabinets and old framed maps of the county. Marjorie was in her 60s, silver-haired, sharp-eyed, and direct. Lorraine did not cry when she explained. She laid out the itinerary, screenshots, forged signature, county notes, bank alert, personal documents found in Maya's room, and the message showing Trevor had been made authorized contact. Marjorie listened without interrupting. She took notes with a fountain pen and asked only precise questions. Who owned the cabin? Lorraine. Was Trevor on the deed? No. Had Lorraine signed power of attorney? No. Had she authorized commercial use? No. Had anyone taken money? Apparently yes, but records were incomplete. When Lorraine finished, Marjorie leaned back. You were right to come today, she said. Lorraine's chest tightened. How bad is it? Manageable if we move carefully. Dangerous if you treat it like a family argument. Lorraine absorbed that. Marjorie tapped the forged signature page. First, preserve everything. Do not accuse her publicly. Do not destroy or alter anything. Second, secure your bank and email, which you've started. Third, we confirm the deed through county records. Fourth, you give written notice that no one has permission for commercial use or overnight occupancy without your written consent. Lorraine nodded. Marjorie's expression softened slightly. And Mrs. Vance, do not sign anything your son brings you. Not tonight, not next week, not without counsel. Lorraine thought of Maya's phone call. Because she trusts Trevor more than she trusts me. If he asks, she'll do it. No, Lorraine said, I won't. Marjorie began making copies. As the printer hummed, Lorraine's phone buzzed again. A message from Trevor. Mom, Maya is telling people you agreed to transfer temporary control before you changed your mind. She says she has a document. I don't know what to believe anymore. Lorraine stared at the screen. Then a second message arrived. She's looking for the blue document bag. Lorraine showed the messages to Marjorie without speaking. The attorney read the first one, then the second. Her face did not change much, but her pen stopped moving. She is looking for the document bag now? Marjorie asked. That's what Trevor says. Where is it? Lorraine touched the strap of the bag resting beside her chair. Here. Marjorie nodded once. Good. Do not take it back into that house unprotected. The word house struck Lorraine in a way she had not expected. It was not just a house, it was her cabin, her purchase, her chance at a quiet life. But in less than 2 days, it had become a place where her papers had to be hidden from her own family. Marjorie stood and walked to a copier near the side wall. I'm making a working copy of everything you brought. Originals stay with you or in a secure location. Copies can travel. Lorraine watched page after page pass under the scanner. The forged signature, the bank alert, the county notes, the event packet, the page about power of attorney authorization pending. Every document looked colder on office paper, less emotional, more dangerous. When Marjorie returned, she placed 3 stapled packets on the table. One for my file, one for you, one to use if we need to send written notice. Lorraine put her hand over the packet. What kind of notice? A simple one for now. No commercial use, no authority to represent you, no power of attorney exists. No overnight occupancy without your written consent, no removal or destruction of documents related to the event. We keep it factual. Lorraine nodded. Can we confirm the deed today? We can check the county recorder's online index. Official certified copies take longer, but the ownership record should show enough for immediate purposes. Marjorie turned her monitor so Lorraine could see. She entered the property address and Lorraine's name. The system took a moment to load. Lorraine held her breath, though she knew what the deed said. Still, after everything Maya had done, she wanted the public record in front of her. Then it appeared: Vance, Lorraine M. Grantee, sole owner, no Trevor, no Maya, no family representative. Lorraine exhaled. Marjorie printed the page. This does not solve every problem, but it anchors the truth. That phrase stayed with Lorraine. Anchors the truth. For years, truth in her family had floated wherever Maya pushed it. Lorraine was too sensitive. Lorraine needed help. Lorraine did not understand. Lorraine should be grateful. Now there was paper. There were timestamps. There was an owner of record. Marjorie drafted the notice while Lorraine called her bank branch and scheduled an in-person security review for the next morning. The banker confirmed the account would remain restricted for profile changes until Lorraine appeared with identification. It was not dramatic. It did not punish anyone. It simply closed a door that should never have been left open. When the notice was ready, Marjorie read it aloud. The language was plain: no insults, no threats beyond reserved rights. It stated that Lorraine Vance was the sole legal owner, that no one had authority to represent her, that no power of attorney or property use agreement had been granted, and that all commercial activity had to cease immediately pending legal review. Lorraine signed it. Her real signature looked steady. Marjorie made a copy, then handed the original back. When you return, do not argue. Provide the notice. Take photos of conditions. If anyone refuses to leave after clear notice, call Deputy Ruiz through non-emergency and ask for guidance. Do not let them turn this into shouting, "I won't," and Mrs. Vance? Lorraine looked up. If your son brings you a document tonight, do not read it alone. Do not hold it long enough for them to say you accepted it. Photograph it if you safely can, then put it down. Lorraine swallowed. I understand. The drive back to the cabin felt longer than the drive into town. The sky had lowered, gray clouds gathering behind the pines. Lorraine kept both hands on the wheel and the document bag on the passenger floor, tucked beneath her coat. Every few miles, she checked the rearview mirror, though no one followed her. Her phone buzzed twice, but she did not look until she reached the gravel pull-out near her property. Both messages were from Trevor. She found the cedar chest. It was open, then another. I didn't let her take anything. But Mom, she has another folder. Lorraine sat in the idling car staring at the words, another folder. For a moment she felt tired all the way through her bones. Not weak, not defeated. Just tired of learning that betrayal had drawers, copies, backups. Tired of discovering that every time she secured one door, Maya had been working on another. Then she turned off the engine. The cabin looked changed again. Fewer cars lined the drive. Several guests had left, but the cargo van remained, and so did Maya's silver SUV. The porch notice was still taped to the door, though one corner had been ripped and smoothed back down poorly. Lorraine photographed it before entering. Inside, the air felt tense and stale. Trevor stood near the stairs, pale and anxious. I'm sorry, he said immediately. Show me. He led her upstairs without another word. The bedroom door was open. The cedar chest sat at the foot of the bed, lid raised. The hidden panel had been pulled loose but not broken. Whoever opened it had known to look for something concealed, but not exactly how to remove it cleanly. Lorraine took photographs from the doorway first. Trevor waited behind her. Did you open this? She asked. No, did Maya? I found her here. Lorraine turned. And? She said she was looking for her sweater in my cedar chest. He looked down. I know. Lorraine photographed the disturbed panel and the empty space where the bag had been earlier. Then she closed the chest gently. The fact that the bag was with her mattered. The fact that Maya had looked there mattered more. Where is she now? Downstairs. On the phone. With whom? I don't know. Lorraine started toward the stairs. Trevor caught up beside her. Mom, the other folder is in her laptop bag. I saw your name on it. Lorraine stopped. Did you touch it? No, I didn't want to make things worse. She looked at him for a long moment. Doing nothing is how things got worse. He absorbed the words without defending himself. Downstairs, Maya stood near the kitchen window with her back turned, speaking quietly but fiercely into her phone. No, she brought in a lawyer. I need the alternate version ready. Lorraine froze in the hallway. Trevor froze beside her. Maya continued. Not the first one. The one that shows Trevor as interim contact. Yes, with the medical background page attached. Lorraine felt the blood leave her hands. Medical background page. Marjorie's warning returned with brutal clarity. Pattern matters. Maya was not only trying to prove property access. She was trying to create a story about Lorraine's capacity. A story built from old surgery records, basement dependency, and Trevor's silence. Maya turned and saw them. Her face went blank. Lorraine stepped into the kitchen and placed Marjorie's written notice on the island. Commercial use ends now, Lorraine said. Maya glanced at the notice but did not pick it up. Trevor stared at his wife. What alternate version? Maya's eyes flashed. You shouldn't listen at doors. Lorraine's voice stayed calm. You shouldn't search locked chests. Maya looked between them, calculating. Then she reached for the notice. Lorraine put one hand on it first. You can read it there. Maya's nostrils flared, but she leaned forward and scanned the page. Her mouth tightened at the line, stating no power of attorney existed. This is absurd, she said. No one said there was one. Lorraine looked at her. Your document did. That was pending language. Based on what? Maya said nothing. Trevor stepped closer to the laptop bag on a chair near the dining table. Maya saw him move and snap, Don't touch my bag. He stopped. The old Trevor would have stepped back. This Trevor looked at Lorraine first. Lorraine shook her head slightly. Not yet. Not without advice. Not without a record. Trevor understood. Lorraine took a photograph of the bag where it sat, then another of Maya standing near it. Maya's expression twisted. You are not going to intimidate me with pictures. No, Lorraine said. I'm going to remember where everything was. Maya laughed, but it sounded thin. You think anyone will believe this version? An isolated older woman, angry that her family tried to help her? Lorraine looked at Trevor. His face had gone still. Maya had said it too openly, too clearly. Not for the guests, not for the sponsor, for him. The room held its breath. Then Trevor said, Were you going to use Mom's surgery against her? Maya's silence answered before her mouth did. Lorraine picked up her phone and dialed Deputy Ruiz's non-emergency number from the card she had been given. Maya's eyes widened. What are you doing? Lorraine held the phone to her ear, documenting the pattern. Deputy Ruiz answered on the fourth ring. Lorraine kept her eyes on Maya while she spoke. This is Lorraine Vance. You came to my cabin earlier today for the property check. Ruiz's voice was calm. Yes, Mrs. Vance. Are you safe? Lorraine felt the question move through the room. Maya heard it. Trevor heard it. So did the few remaining guests near the living room. I am not being physically threatened, Lorraine said, but I need to add information to the record. My daughter-in-law searched a locked chest while I was gone. She was looking for my document bag. I also overheard her discussing an alternate version of paperwork involving my son and my medical history. Maya's face went red. That is not what happened. Lorraine did not lower the phone. She is denying it now. Trevor looked at Maya, then at Lorraine. His voice was quiet but clear. I heard it too. Maya turned on him like he had slapped her. Trevor. Ruiz paused. Mrs. Vance, I can't take a full report over the phone, but I can note the call. If there is no immediate physical danger, I recommend preserving the scene, not touching the disputed documents, and contacting your attorney. If anyone refuses to leave after notice or if the situation escalates, call us back. I understand. Do you want a deputy to return tonight? Lorraine looked around the cabin. The guests were uneasy. Maya was furious. Trevor looked shaken but present. The blue document bag was with her. The attorney had copies. For the first time since the cars arrived, Lorraine did not feel outnumbered in the same way. Not yet, she said. I want the call noted. It will be. Lorraine thanked her and ended the call. The room stayed silent afterward, not because the conflict had ended, because something official had touched it again. Maya could still lie, twist, perform. But now each performance had a date, a time, a witness, or a note attached to it. Maya folded her arms. "You're enjoying this." Lorraine set the phone on the counter. "No, you are. You finally have everyone looking at you." That one nearly landed. Maya knew where to aim. Lorraine had spent years invisible in Trevor's house, unseen, until someone needed dinner, laundry, a ride, a check mailed on time. Attention had never been what she wanted. Recognition was different. Respect was different. Lorraine picked up Marjorie's notice and slid it across the island toward Maya. "Read the rest. I already saw enough." Then read it again. Maya's eyes flashed, but she looked down. Trevor stepped closer and read beside her. The notice said no commercial activity could continue, no person could represent Lorraine. No power of attorney existed, no property use agreement had been granted, no one was authorized to remove, alter, or destroy records relating to the retreat. Trevor reached the bottom and closed his eyes. Maya said, "This is theater." "No," Lorraine said. "The retreat was theater. This is paperwork." A small sound came from the hallway. Claire stood near the door again, her coat over one arm. Kevin was behind her with a duffel bag. Both looked embarrassed. Claire cleared her throat. "Mrs. Vance, I don't want to get more involved, but a few of us need confirmation. Are we supposed to leave tonight?" Lorraine looked at the remaining guests. There were fewer now, perhaps a dozen scattered across the cabin and porch. Some had paid. Some had come through agencies. Some had believed Maya. None of that made them Lorraine's responsibility, but they were standing in her house, waiting for a lawful answer. "No one has my permission to stay overnight as part of a paid retreat," Lorraine said. "If someone needs that time to arrange transportation or lodging, they can do that without using my bedrooms. I'm asking everyone who is not family to leave the property tonight." Maya laughed bitterly. "Family. Interesting that word matters now." Lorraine turned to her. "It mattered when you used it to get through my door." Claire nodded slowly. "Thank you for being clear." That clarity spread quickly. People began moving. Bags rolled downstairs. The front door opened and closed. Car engines started outside. No shouting, no dramatic confrontation. Just adults realizing they were standing on disputed ground and deciding not to be part of it. Maya watched them go with a rigid smile that fooled no one. Every departure took something from her, not luggage, not money, control. Trevor stood near the island, still looking at the notice. When most of the guests had cleared out, Lorraine walked through the cabin with her phone. She recorded the condition of the living room, the kitchen, the hallway, the bedrooms. She spoke softly as she filmed, noting time, date, and visible damage. Wine ring on coffee table, scrape near entry, mud on rug, cooler indentation near back door, torn edge of posted notice. Cedar chest disturbed. Trevor followed at a distance. When she reached the downstairs guest room, Maya moved in front of the door. "Don't go in there." Lorraine lifted her phone. "This is my house. My personal items are in there, and my papers were in there earlier." Trevor stepped forward. "Maya, move." Maya stared at him. He looked terrified of himself, but he did not back down. After a long moment, Maya stepped aside. The room smelled of perfume, cardboard, and stress. Several boxes remained, but the laptop bag was gone from the chair. Lorraine's eyes moved over the bed, dresser, floor, closet. Empty hangers swung inside. A stack of branded tote bags sat near the wall. On the floor by the nightstand, half hidden under a folded scarf, Lorraine saw the corner of a manila folder. She photographed it before touching anything. Then she crouched carefully and lifted the scarf away. The folder had no label on the outside. Maya's voice sharpened behind her. "That is not yours." Lorraine looked back. "Then why are you worried?" Maya said nothing. Lorraine opened the folder. Inside were draft documents. Not final forms, not signed papers, drafts. That mattered, and she knew it. Drafts were not proof of completed fraud, but they were proof of intent, preparation, and direction. The first page was titled Temporary Property Authorization Agreement. Lorraine's name appeared at the top. Trevor's name appeared beneath hers as family representative. Several blanks remained unfilled. The second page contained notes about medical concerns, recovery history, and resistance to necessary support. The language was careful. Too careful. It did not say Lorraine was incompetent. It suggested she might be overwhelmed and dependent. It used her hip surgery as context. It framed Trevor as protective. The third page was worse. Talking points. If Lorraine refuses, emphasize safety. If Lorraine becomes emotional, pause and let Trevor speak. Do not mention sponsor until signature is secured. Keep language temporary. Lorraine read the page once. Then she handed it to Trevor. His hands shook when he took it. Maya's voice was low. That was a strategy note. Trevor looked up. "For manipulating my mother." For getting through a difficult conversation. Lorraine took the page back and photographed it. A conversation I was never invited to prepare for. Maya stepped closer. You are making me sound like a criminal. Lorraine closed the folder. I'm letting your words do that. Maya's face twisted. For a moment, Lorraine thought she might lunge for the folder. Instead, Maya turned, walked out of the room, and grabbed her phone from the kitchen island. I'm calling my attorney. Good, Lorraine said. The answer seemed to surprise her. Lorraine carried the folder to the dining table and placed it beside Marjorie's notice. She texted Marjorie a photograph of the talking points page with one line. Found another folder in guest room. Draft authorization and strategy notes. Marjorie replied within 2 minutes. Do not alter order. Photograph everything. Keep secure. Do not discuss substance further tonight. Lorraine followed the instruction. She photographed each page again, kept them in order, and placed the folder into a separate envelope from the one Marjorie had provided. Across the front she wrote, found downstairs guest room after notice served. Trevor watched her write. I didn't know, he says. Lorraine looked at him. I believe you didn't read. I don't know yet if that is the same as not knowing. He absorbed that with visible pain. Outside, the last guest car pulled away. Gravel crunched, then faded. The cabin settled into a silence that should have felt like relief. It did not. Maya was still there. Trevor was still there. The damage was still there. And now the evidence was no longer only about a retreat. It was about an attempt to pressure Lorraine into signing away control under the language of care. Maya returned from the porch, phone in hand. Her expression was calmer now, too calm. My attorney says I don't have to discuss anything further tonight, she said. Lorraine nodded. Then don't. Maya's mouth tightened. But he also says if you spread false claims about me, I can pursue defamation. Trevor looked exhausted. Maya, stop. She ignored him. And if you keep implying that I exploited you because of your age or surgery history, you'd better be ready to prove it. Lorraine picked up the envelope and the blue document bag. I am. Maya's confidence faltered for half a second. Lorraine carried both upstairs and locked them in her suitcase this time, not the cedar chest. Then she placed the suitcase in her car and locked the car too. Documents outside the cabin, phone backed up, attorney aware, bank secured, deputy notified. When she came back inside, Trevor was standing alone at the foot of the stairs. Maya's packing, he said. Lorraine listened. Upstairs, drawers opened and closed hard. She says she's leaving tonight. Lorraine nodded. That is her choice. Trevor swallowed. She wants me to go with her. The old Lorraine would have told him to do what kept peace. She would have made his burden lighter, even if it crushed her. This Lorraine said, then you need to decide what kind of man leaves with that folder still unexplained. Trevor looked toward the upstairs hallway, then a door slammed. Maya appeared at the top of the stairs with her suitcase in one hand and her laptop bag over her shoulder. Lorraine's eyes went to the bag. Maya saw it and smiled thinly. Don't worry, she said. I took what belongs to me. As she descended the stairs, Trevor's phone buzzed on the table beside him. The screen lit up with a new email notification from the retreat platform. Account administrator changed. Maya Vance removed. Trevor Vance added as primary host. Trevor stared at the notification as if the phone had burned him. Account administrator changed. Maya Vance removed. Trevor Vance added as primary host. Maya had reached the bottom of the stairs when the screen lit up. Her suitcase wheels stopped against the floorboards. Lorraine saw her eyes move to Trevor's phone, then away too quickly. Trevor picked it up with slow fingers. Maya. She adjusted the strap of her laptop bag. What? Why am I listed as primary host? I don't know what you're talking about. He turned the screen toward her. The room went still again. Lorraine was beginning to understand that truth did not arrive like thunder. It arrived in small, glowing rectangles. One email, one alert, one line of text at a time. Maya's expression flattened. That must be automatic. Automatic after you were removed? Trevor asked. I didn't remove myself. Lorraine watched her carefully. The lie was too quick, not panicked, but rehearsed. Maya had always been better when she could speak first and force everyone else to respond. But tonight there were too many records and too many timestamps. Trevor opened the email fully. Lorraine stepped closer, not touching the phone. The message showed a dashboard change made 10 minutes earlier. Administrator privileges had shifted from Maya's business account to Trevor's personal email. The platform warned that the primary host remained responsible for guest communication, refund processing, property disputes, and event compliance. Trevor's face drained further with every line. She moved the liability to you, Lorraine said quietly. Maya snapped, that is not what happened. Trevor looked up. Then what happened? I was protecting the account from being frozen while your mother spirals. Lorraine did not react to the word. She had heard it too many times now. Confused, overwhelmed, unstable. Spiraling. Each label was meant to make her smaller. None of them matched the woman standing in her own living room with bank protections in place, an attorney notified, a deputy call logged, and evidence stored in her car. Trevor scrolled through the message. It says, "I'm responsible for refunds." Maya's mouth tightened. He looked at her. "How much did people pay? That's not the issue right now. It is to me." Lorraine watched the change in him with cautious distance. He was angry now, but anger could still become self-protection instead of accountability. She had seen it before. Trevor could be brave for 10 seconds, then retreat the moment Maya raised her voice. Maya set her suitcase upright. "You want numbers? Fine. Some guests paid package fees. Some came through vendors. Some were promotional. It's not simple. How much?" Maya looked away. Trevor stepped closer. "How much, Maya?" "A little over 12,000 total." The number landed with a dull force. Lorraine felt no surprise, only confirmation. Maya had not brought people to share a weekend. She had filled Lorraine's home with paying adults, sponsor contacts, vendors, and cameras. Then she tried to make Lorraine look too dependent to object. Trevor looked sick. "You collected $12,000 using Mom's cabin. It was for expenses." "What expenses?" "Food, materials, branding, deposits." Lorraine glanced at the kitchen counters, where most of the food had come from her pantry, her groceries, and whatever guests had brought in coolers. She said nothing. Silence, for once, belonged to her strategy. Trevor seemed to realize the same thing. "Did you spend it?" Maya's eyes sharpened. "Do not interrogate me like I'm some criminal. You put my name as primary host. Because you are her son, that doesn't make me owner." "No," Lorraine said, "it doesn't." Both of them looked at her. Lorraine reached into her purse and took out the copy of Marjorie's notice. She placed it on the table between them. "This says no one represents me. Not Maya. Not Trevor. Not anyone. I will be sending a copy to the platform and the sponsor through my attorney." Maya laughed, but it had no strength left. "Your attorney doesn't scare me." "She doesn't need to." Trevor rubbed his forehead. "Can I remove myself from the platform?" Lorraine looked at him. "You can try, but before you do, preserve the email." He nodded quickly and forwarded it to himself, then to Lorraine at her request. She watched him do it. Then he took screenshots of the dashboard change and the refund responsibility page. Lorraine told him to include the timestamp, and he did. For the first time, he followed her instruction without argument. Maya watched them from near the stairs, her face tight with anger and something almost like disbelief. It was as if she could not process that Trevor was obeying someone else. "You're both being ridiculous," she said. Trevor looked at her. "Did you move the account to me so the sponsor wouldn't see your name?" Maya said nothing. "Or so refunds came through me?" Still nothing. Lorraine picked up on the second silence. "Refunds?" Trevor scrolled faster. "There's a payout section." Maya moved toward him. "Don't open that." He opened it. His jaw clenched. Lorraine did not ask. She waited. Trevor turned the phone toward her. The platform showed a connected bank account ending in 4 digits. The name was not fully visible, but the account holder line showed Vance Household LLC. Lorraine frowned. "What is Vance Household LLC?" Trevor stared at Maya. Maya's face hardened into defiance. "A business structure. You never told me we had that," Trevor said. "It was for tax organization." "We?" Maya looked at him. "You signed the formation papers last year." Trevor shook his head. "I signed a mail forwarding form. You said it was for your consulting work." Lorraine felt the room tighten again. Another document, another signature. Another explanation too late. She took a photograph of Trevor's screen from a slight angle, careful not to touch his phone. Then she wrote the LLC name in her notebook. Maya stepped forward. "You have no right to photograph my business information." Lorraine looked up. "Your business information is attached to unauthorized use of my property." "You don't know that. I know enough to ask my attorney." Maya's eyes went cold. "You keep hiding behind that woman." "No," Lorraine said. "I found help. There is a difference." That sentence quieted Trevor more than Maya. Lorraine could see it in his face. Help. He had once been the person she called for help. After the surgery, after Peter's death, after bills got confusing during recovery. Somewhere along the way, help had become management. Management had become control, and control had nearly become theft. A car horn sounded outside. Maya looked toward the window. Someone was waiting for her, probably one of the remaining guests, or a rideshare arranged from town. She grabbed the handle of her suitcase. "I'm leaving before this becomes even more toxic." Trevor moved into her path. "Leave the laptop bag." Maya's laugh was sharp. "Excuse me? You said you took what belongs to you. Fine. But if there are documents with Mom's name in that bag, they don't belong to you." Her face went pale, then furious. "Get out of my way." Lorraine stepped forward, but Trevor raised a hand slightly, not to silence her, only to show he would handle his own choice. "Maya," he said, voice unsteady but clear, "open the bag." "No." Then I'm calling Ruiz back and telling her you're removing disputed documents after being told to preserve them. Maya stared at him. For a moment, Lorraine almost did not recognize her son. Not because he sounded strong, because he sounded afraid and acted anyway. Maya slowly lowered the laptop egg onto the table. She unzipped it with angry, jerking movements and removed the laptop, charger, makeup pouch, planner, and a stack of branded folders. Then she pulled out one slim gray folder and slapped it onto the table. There, happy? Lorraine did not touch it. She photographed it first. The label read, LV, Contingency. Trevor looked at the folder like it was alive. Maya's nostrils flared. It's not what you think. Lorraine looked at her. You don't know what I think. She opened the folder carefully. Inside was a printed draft email addressed to the sponsor. It described Lorraine as cooperative but emotionally inconsistent. It claimed Trevor had authority to speak on her behalf due to documented recovery-related limitations. Attached behind it were copies of the medical notes, the forged owner consent form, and a blank notary page. The notary page made Lorraine stop. It had her name typed beneath a signature line. No signature yet, no stamp, not completed, but prepared. Trevor whispered, Jesus. Maya reached for the folder again. This time, Trevor stepped between them. Lorraine closed it and slid it into the envelope Marjorie had given her. Her hands were calm. Her voice was calmer. This goes to my attorney tonight. Maya's eyes filled with hatred. You are going to regret choosing paperwork over family. Lorraine looked at the woman who had turned her home into a venue, her son into a shield, and her recovery into a weapon. No, she said. I regret not choosing it sooner. Outside, the horn sounded again. Maya grabbed her suitcase, laptop, and purse but left the folders. She walked to the door, then turned back toward Trevor. If I go, don't expect me to clean up what she does to you. Trevor looked at the phone in his hand, the platform email still open. I think you already left me with that. Maya's face twisted. Then she stepped onto the porch and slammed the door behind her. The cabin seemed to inhale after she left. Trevor stood motionless. Lorraine did not comfort him. Not yet. Her phone buzzed with a new email from Marjorie. Send photos of any folders she attempted to remove. Also check whether any accounts or entities were created using your name or address. Lorraine looked at the line again. Your name or address. Then Trevor, still pale, opened the LLC record search on his phone. His fingers shook as he typed Vance Household LLC. The registration page loaded. Organizer, Maya Vance. Mailing address, Trevor and Maya's home. Registered business address, Lorraine's new cabin. Lorraine looked at the business registration on Trevor's phone and felt a strange, calm pass through her. Registered business address, Lorraine's new cabin. Maya had not waited to see whether the retreat worked. She had already planted a business at Lorraine's door. On paper, in a state database, the cabin was now tied to an LLC Lorraine had never heard of, never approved, and never discussed. It did not transfer ownership. It did not give Maya legal rights. Lorraine understood that much from Marjorie, but it created confusion, and confusion was exactly what Maya had been using from the beginning. Trevor's hand shook around the phone. I didn't know she used the cabin address. Lorraine looked at him. The filing date? He scrolled. 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks! Before Lorraine had closed on the property, before she had moved in, before Maya called and announced 30 people. The plan had not started when the cars arrived. The cars were the result. Lorraine took a photograph of the registration page. Then she asked Trevor to email the link to her. He did it without argument. Did you sign anything for this LLC? She asked. Trevor opened his mouth, then stopped. That hesitation hurt more than a denial. I signed something for a business mailing account, he said. Maya said it was for her consulting income. I didn't read the whole packet. Lorraine closed her eyes briefly. Trevor, I know, no, she said. You don't, not yet. He looked at the floor, and for once he did not try to defend himself. The cabin had gone quiet after Maya left, but quiet no longer meant peace, it meant aftermath. The living room smelled like spilled wine, wet boots, and someone else's expensive candle. Branded folders still sat on the dining table. A torn piece of tape clung to the front door where Lorraine's notice had been pulled at the corner. Outside, the last trace of Maya's taillights had disappeared down the road. Lorraine picked up her phone and sent the LLC screenshot to Marjorie. Registered business address uses my cabin. Filing date 3 weeks ago. Marjorie's reply came quickly. Do not engage Maya directly. Save page. We will address in writing. Also preserve all platform records showing Trevor added as host. Lorraine read the message aloud. Trevor stood beside her, silent. Forward me everything from the platform, she said. He nodded and sat at the dining table. His fingers moved slowly over the phone. Each forwarded email arrived on Lorraine's screen a few seconds later. administrator change, host responsibility, refund notice, property profile update, family representative confirmation. The evidence moved from his inbox to hers one piece at a time. It was not forgiveness, it was cooperation. There was a difference. After the last email, Trevor set the phone down and covered his face with both hands. I let her use me. Lorraine did not rush to comfort him. Yes, he lowered his hands. The word had landed hard, but he did not argue. I thought I was keeping the peace. You were keeping yourself out of trouble. His eyes lifted to hers. Pain moved through them. Maybe. That honesty was new. Small, late, but new. Lorraine walked into the kitchen and began documenting damage again. Not because the table mattered more than betrayal, but because damage was something she could prove. She photographed the ring on the coffee table, the scrape near the door, the mud on the rug, the dent in the hallway wall where equipment had been leaned too hard. Trevor followed at a distance. Let me help. Start by moving nothing until I photograph it. He nodded. They worked that way for nearly an hour. Lorraine took photos. Trevor held a flashlight. She wrote notes. He supplied times when he knew them. She did not ask him to explain Maya. She did not ask him to choose a side again. His choices were becoming visible without speeches. Near midnight, Lorraine checked the exterior cameras. Maya's departure had been captured clearly. Suitcase, laptop, purse. No folders visible except what she had removed before Trevor stopped her. Lorraine exported the clip and saved it. Then she checked the driveway footage from earlier in the day. The video showed guests leaving, Claire carrying her tote bag, Kevin loading equipment. Maya walking to the cargo van twice, once with branded boxes, once with a dark folder tucked under her arm. Lorraine leaned closer. The timestamp was 5:38 p.m., before the second folder had been found in the guest room. Maya had carried something out before that. Not everything had been recovered. Trevor saw the footage and whispered, "What was in that?" Lorraine did not answer because she did not know. That was the danger. She saved the clip and sent it to Marjorie with the note. Maya removed dark folder to cargo van before leaving. Contents unknown. Trevor stood behind her, looking smaller than he had all night. "You should go," Lorraine said. He looked startled. "What? You should go to town. Find a motel. I don't want you staying here tonight." "Mom, I can sleep on the couch." "I can help. You can help tomorrow. Tonight I need my house empty." The words seemed to wound him, but she did not take them back. Boundaries that spared everyone's feelings had never protected her. This one had to be clear. "I'm not kicking you out forever," she said. "I'm telling you I need one night without anyone from your marriage under my roof." He absorbed that slowly. Then he nodded. "Okay." He packed a small bag from his car, not from the rooms, because most of his things had never been unpacked. At the door, he turned back. "I'm sorry." Lorraine looked at him. "I know you are. Is that enough?" "No." His face tightened, but he nodded again. "I know." After he left, Lorraine locked the door. Then she checked every window, the back entrance, the porch, the deck. She moved through the cabin slowly, hearing it differently now. Not as a place ruined, but as a place waiting to be reclaimed. She placed a chair beneath the back doorknob, even though she knew it was old-fashioned. Then she carried the evidence envelopes from the car back inside only long enough to place them in a metal lockbox she had found in the pantry. She set the lockbox under the bed, then changed her mind and put it in the trunk of her car. If someone returned, she did not want the documents inside the cabin. At 1 a.m, she sat at the kitchen table with coffee gone cold beside her. The retreat was over, but the case was not. The sponsor still had Maya's version. The platform still had Trevor listed as host. The LLC still showed Lorraine's cabin as its business address. The bank had blocked one recovery attempt, but not identified who made it. And somewhere, if the camera footage was right, Maya had taken another folder off the property. Lorraine opened her laptop and wrote a timeline. She began with the call from Maya. Then the cars, the itinerary, the forged signature, the county visit, the bank alert, the folder, the attorney notice, the LLC, the unknown folder leaving in Maya's hand. By the time she finished, the eastern windows had begun to pale. She saved the timeline, printed one copy, and added it to the lockbox. Then her phone buzzed again. An email from Grant Outdoor Collective. Subject, request for owner verification. Lorraine opened it. The message was short and formal. Grant Outdoor Collective had received conflicting information regarding the Mountain Reset Retreat, the legal owner of the property, and authority to conduct sponsored activity at the cabin. They requested documentation within 48 hours to verify whether Lorraine Vance had authorized the retreat. Attached was the document Maya's had submitted. Lorraine opened it. Her forged signature appeared again. But this time there was a witness line beside it. Witness, Trevor Vance. Lorraine stared at the witness line until the words blurred. Trevor Vance. The name sat beneath the forged signature like a second betrayal, not because she believed he had helped forge her name, not yet, but because his name transformed the document from Maya's lie into something that looked credible to strangers. A sponsor reviewing paperwork would see two signatures, an owner and a witness. They would not see years of manipulation hidden between those lines. She enlarged the document. The signature beside the witness line did not look like Trevor's normal handwriting. It was close enough to pass a glance, but wrong in the details. The T leaned differently. The final stroke of the V was sharper. Lorraine immediately saved 3 copies. Then she forwarded the email to Marjorie with a single sentence. The sponsor has a witness signature attributed to Trevor. Less than 10 minutes later, her phone rang. Marjorie rarely called unless something mattered. "Do not contact the sponsor yet," the attorney said. "I wasn't planning to." "Good. Save everything. We need to determine whether Trevor actually signed anything or whether his name was added later." Lorraine looked again at the document. If it was added later, then we have a bigger problem for Maya. The lawyer paused. But if Trevor signed a packet without reading it, and that signature page was attached afterward, things become more complicated. Lorraine understood immediately. The truth might not be simple enough to protect her son, and for the first time she realized she was preparing herself for that possibility. After the call ended, she sent Trevor a message. "Need to see you this morning. Bring any documents Maya asked you to sign." No explanation, no accusation. A few minutes later, his reply arrived. "I'll be there at 9. Lorraine slept for less than 2 hours. By morning, exhaustion sat behind her eyes, but the shock had hardened into determination. She dressed, made coffee, and spent the early hours organizing evidence. Every email, every screenshot, every photograph, every recording. She created digital folders and backup copies on 2 separate drives. One remained with her, the other she prepared to deliver to Marjorie. Control began with preservation. She had spent too long assuming family loyalty was protection. Now she relied on documentation. At exactly 9, Trevor knocked. Lorraine opened the door. He looked exhausted. The motel had clearly offered little sleep. Without speaking, he entered and placed a folder on the kitchen table. "This is everything I found." Lorraine opened it carefully. Inside were account forms, marketing agreements, vendor contracts, and several pages related to Maya's consulting business. Most appeared ordinary. Then she found a signature page. Trevor leaned forward. "I remember that one." Lorraine compared it to the sponsor's document. The witness signature matched. Exactly. Her stomach tightened. Trevor saw her expression. "What?" She turned the page toward him. His face drained of color. "I signed that." The silence stretched. "Did you know it would be attached to authorization paperwork for my property?" "No." His answer came instantly. Lorraine believed him. The certainty surprised her. Not because he deserved trust, because she could see genuine confusion. He grabbed the document and read it again. "This page wasn't attached to this contract." "How do you know?" "Because there were only 4 pages. This one says page 6. Lorraine looked closer. He was right. The numbering sequence was broken. Page 6, no page 5, no page 4. No indication of the original packet. Trevor sat back heavily. "Maya reused my signature." Lorraine said nothing. He stared at the table. She reused it. The realization hit him slowly. For years he had assumed Maya controlled situations because she was organized, ambitious, and smarter than everyone else. Now he was beginning to see something different. Control built through deception. Convenience purchased with dishonesty. Trust treated like raw material. His phone suddenly buzzed. A text. "Maya." His expression changed immediately. "What?" He hesitated. "Read it." He handed over the phone. The message was brief. "Stop helping your mother. You're making this worse." Lorraine continued reading. There were several more. "You don't understand what's at stake. We need to stay consistent. Don't send anyone my business documents." The last one arrived while they watched. "Delete anything you forwarded." Trevor slowly lowered his head. Lorraine took screenshots before handing the phone back. "May I keep those?" He nodded. "Yes." The messages mattered because they revealed urgency. Maya was afraid of something. People who believed they had done nothing wrong rarely demanded evidence be deleted. Around noon, another email arrived. This one came from Grant Outdoor Collective again. They requested a video meeting within 24 hours regarding ownership verification and sponsorship concerns. Lorraine forwarded it to Marjorie. The response arrived quickly, except, "Do not attend alone." Lorraine confirmed the meeting. The clock was moving faster now. By early afternoon, Trevor left for work obligations he could no longer avoid. Before leaving, he stopped near the door. "Mom?" She looked up. If Marjorie discovers something worse, he struggled to finish. Lorraine waited. If Maya committed fraud, I'll tell the truth. The statement sounded simple. It wasn't. For Trevor, it meant choosing reality over loyalty, perhaps for the first time in years. After he left, Lorraine drove into town. She visited the county records office again. This time she requested additional public filings connected to the LLC. The clerk printed several documents. Most contained standard registration information. Then Lorraine noticed something unusual. An amendment filing submitted only days earlier. The listed business purpose had been expanded. Retreat operations, event hosting, property management services. Lorraine felt her pulse quicken. Property management. The phrase seemed harmless until she reached the final page. There, listed under future operational locations, appeared 2 addresses. The first was Maya's home office. The second was Lorraine's cabin. Again, the filing did not transfer ownership, but it continued creating a paper trail suggesting operational authority. A trail that seemed increasingly deliberate. Lorraine purchased certified copies. Then she carried them directly to Marjorie's office. The attorney reviewed each page carefully. She's building a narrative. Lorraine sat across from her desk. What kind of narrative? One where the cabin functions as a business asset connected to her operations. Lorraine felt anger rise. Why? Marjorie tapped the documents, because paper trails matter, not necessarily in ownership disputes, but in perception disputes, sponsors, vendors, guests, future contracts. Lorraine understood. Maya had been trying to become the public face of something she did not own, not by stealing a deed, by slowly replacing the owner in everyone else's mind. The realization felt colder than simple theft. It was erasure. Marjorie gathered the documents. We're stopping it. Before Lorraine could answer, a knock sounded at the office door. Marjorie's assistant stepped inside. There's someone here asking for Lorraine. Who? The assistant glanced down. Kevin Wallace, the former event coordinator. Lorraine exchanged a look with Marjorie. Send him in. Kevin entered looking nervous. He carried a laptop bag. I'm sorry to interrupt. What is it? Lorraine asked. He swallowed. I almost didn't come. The room grew still. Kevin opened his bag and removed a flash drive. When Maya hired me, she shared access to a project folder. Lorraine felt her heartbeat quicken. I found something after the retreat collapsed. Kevin placed the flash drive on the desk. What kind of something? His eyes moved between Lorraine and Marjorie. Then he answered. A planning document. Lorraine leaned forward. What planning document? Kevin took a breath. The one Maya created 4 months ago. 4 months, long before the retreat, long before the LLC filing, long before Lorraine bought the cabin. Kevin's voice dropped. The file name was Operation Evergreen. He hesitated. Then he added the sentence that froze the room. The first page wasn't about hosting retreats. It was about acquiring control of Lorraine Vance's future property before she ever moved into it. The room stayed silent for several seconds after Kevin finished speaking. Lorraine stared at the flash drive on Marjorie's desk as if it might suddenly disappear. 4 months ago, she had not even known the cabin existed. She had only been casually browsing listings and talking about wanting a quieter place after retirement. Yet somehow Maya had already been building a plan around a property Lorraine did not own. Marjorie broke the silence first. Can you prove when the file was created? Kevin nodded immediately. The original version is still in the project archive. It has timestamps. I downloaded a copy before Maya removed my access. You still have access to the archive? No. She revoked everything last week, but I saved what I could. Marjorie took the flash drive. You did the right thing. Kevin looked relieved but nervous. There's more. Lorraine felt another knot form in her stomach. What else? Kevin opened his laptop and navigated through several folders. Within moments, a document appeared on the screen. The title read, Operation Evergreen Strategic Expansion Proposal. The date sat in the upper corner, 4 months earlier. Lorraine felt her pulse pounding in her ears. Kevin scrolled carefully. The first several pages discussed outdoor retreats, sponsorships, influencer partnerships, and projected revenue, nothing unusual. Then he reached a section highlighted in yellow. Acquisition strategy. Lorraine leaned closer. The document did not mention stealing property. It was far more calculated than that. Phase involved the primary organizer and public representative of future events hosted at the target location. Phase 2 involved creating business dependency through vendor contracts and sponsorship relationships. Phase 3 involved establishing operational authority through documented management activity. Lorraine felt cold, not because the language was criminal, because it was deliberate. The document described a long-term campaign to make other people believe Maya controlled the property regardless of who legally owned it. Kevin continued scrolling. Another section appeared. Risk factors. One line stood out immediately. Owner may become resistant after realizing extent of operational integration. Lorraine felt something break inside her. Owner, not mother, not Lorraine. Owner, a barrier, an obstacle, a problem to manage. Marjorie quietly photographed every page. Keep scrolling. Kevin hesitated. The next section is why I came. The room became still again. He moved forward several pages. This section contained notes, meeting notes, brainstorming notes, action items. Some were harmless, others were not. One entry carried a date from 3 months earlier. Explore authorization options if owner becomes difficult. Another note followed. Investigate durable POA possibilities through family relationship. Lorraine stared at the words. Power of attorney. Her chest tightened. Marjorie's expression hardened immediately. Did Maya ever discuss power of attorney with you? The lawyer asked. No. Any paperwork related to medical decisions, financial assistance, recovery planning? Then Lorraine remembered. A packet. Weeks after her surgery, Maya had appeared with a stack of forms. At the time, she claimed they were insurance updates and emergency contact paperwork. Lorraine had been exhausted and heavily medicated. Fortunately, she had refused to sign because several pages were missing. The memory returned with startling clarity. Maya's irritation, Trevor's insistence that she was only trying to help. The way Maya collected the papers quickly afterward. I think she tried. Marjorie looked directly at her. Tried what? To get signatures while I was recovering. The attorney nodded slowly. Then we need to determine exactly what those documents were. Lorraine suddenly understood something that made her feel physically sick. The surgery had not simply been a difficult period in her life. It might have been viewed as an opportunity. The realization hurt more than the forged signature. Kevin eventually left after providing copies of everything he possessed. Before leaving, he stopped beside Lorraine. I never understood why Maya was so obsessed with the cabin, neither did Lorraine. Not completely, not yet, but she was beginning to see that the cabin itself might only be part of a larger plan. After Kevin departed, Marjorie immediately created forensic copies of every file. No one gets surprised again, she said. Lorraine appreciated the certainty. For weeks she had been reacting. Now someone was finally helping her build a defense. By late afternoon, Lorraine returned home carrying copies of the new evidence. The house felt different, not because anything had changed physically, because she now knew how long the manipulation had been developing behind her back. Every room contained memories of Trevor, birthdays, family dinners, late-night conversations, years of sacrifice. And somehow those years had ended with her son standing beside a woman who had referred to her as a risk factor. Her phone vibrated. Trevor, she answered. Mom. His voice sounded strained. What's wrong? I just got off the phone with Maya. Lorraine sat down slowly. What happened? There was a long pause. She says, you're destroying our future. The words hurt less than they once would have. Now they simply sounded familiar. What did you tell her? I asked about the sponsorship paperwork. Another pause. She denied everything. Of course she did. It gets worse. Lorraine waited. Trevor exhaled heavily. She accused Kevin of stealing confidential business information. That did not surprise Lorraine. What else? I asked if she ever prepared power of attorney documents. The silence that followed felt dangerous. What did she say? She asked who told me. Lorraine closed her eyes. Not a denial. Not confusion. Not outrage. A question. Who told me? Trevor continued. Then she said I was being manipulated. Lorraine almost laughed, not because it was funny, because the irony was unbearable. For years, Trevor had ignored every warning sign. Now that he finally asked questions, Maya claimed someone else was manipulating him. I don't know who she is anymore, he admitted quietly. The sadness in his voice sounded genuine, but Lorraine found she no longer had energy to comfort him. Some wounds needed accountability before healing. That evening, she reviewed every piece of evidence again. A pattern emerged: the forged authorization, the witness signature, the LLC filings, the sponsorship communications, the operation plan, the power of attorney discussion. Each piece alone seemed explainable. Together they formed something else. Preparation, not impulsive greed, not one bad decision, preparation. At nearly 10 o'clock, another email arrived. This one came from an address Lorraine did not recognize. No subject line, no signature. Only a short message. You are looking in the wrong place. Attached beneath it was a single PDF. Marjorie had instructed Lorraine not to open unknown attachments alone, so she forwarded it immediately. Within minutes, the attorney called. Do not delete that email. I wasn't planning to. Good. Marjorie's voice sounded unusually tense. What is it? The attachment isn't malware. Then what is it? The lawyer hesitated. When she spoke again, her voice was lower. It's a bank document. Lorraine gripped the phone tighter. What kind of bank document? Loan application. Her stomach dropped. For whom? Another pause. Then Marjorie answered, The borrower is Maya. Lorraine felt the room spin slightly. But that's not the important part. What is? The collateral section. Lorraine stood slowly. Every instinct in her body told her she would hate the answer. Marjorie finally spoke. The application references a future operational property. Lorraine already knew. She could feel it, before the words arrived, before the confirmation, before the truth landed. And when Marjorie read the address aloud, it was exactly the address of Lorraine's cabin. Then the lawyer delivered the final detail. The loan application had been submitted nearly 2 months before Lorraine discovered the first forged document. Lorraine did not drive back to the cabin that night. Marjorie told her not to. Instead, she stayed in a small motel near the county courthouse, with the blue document bag on the chair beside the bed and the loan application printed on the nightstand. She slept in fragments. Each time she woke, she saw the cabin address in the collateral section again, not as property Maya owned, but as property Maya had hoped to make useful enough, official enough, and confusing enough to borrow against later. By morning, Marjorie had already contacted the lender listed on the application. She did not accuse. She provided a formal notice that Lorraine Vance had not pledged, authorized, managed, transferred, or offered her cabin as part of any business loan. She attached the deed record, the fraud alert confirmation, and a statement that any document bearing Lorraine's signature should be treated as disputed pending review. The lender froze the application for internal review. Grant Outdoor Collective responded next. Their compliance officer confirmed they had received conflicting authorization documents from Maya, including the forged owner consent, the witness page attributed to Trevor, and the business registration using Lorraine's cabin address. They did not declare anyone guilty. They did something better. They suspended the campaign, terminated the pending sponsorship agreement, and requested all parties preserve records. Maya's public dream did not explode in a dramatic scene. It was paused, reviewed, and quietly removed from the path she had built. That was worse for her. By the end of the week, the county issued written warnings tied to the unauthorized event, vehicle access, fire restriction concerns, and occupancy issues. The fines were not instant devastation. They were real, documented costs. Through Marjorie, Lorraine sent a restitution demand covering cleanup, damage, county-related expenses, lock changes, and legal fees connected directly to the unauthorized retreat. Maya answered through an attorney. The first letter denied almost everything. The second offered a private conversation. The third proposed a structured settlement. Lorraine accepted only the part that protected her. The final agreement required Maya to reimburse documented costs in installments, remove all online references to Lorraine's cabin, dissolve or amend any business record listing the cabin address, notify the retreat platform that she had no authority to use the property, and stop contacting sponsors or vendors as if the cabin were available. It also required Trevor to submit a written statement confirming that he had not owned the cabin, had not been authorized to represent Lorraine, and had not witnessed her signature on the sponsor form. He signed it. His hand shook, but he signed. The bank completed its security review and found no completed access, but confirmed that the recovery attempt had used personal information matching papers found in Maya's folder. That was enough for Lorraine to keep enhanced verification, remove Trevor as emergency contact, and require in-person changes for every account that mattered. She changed passwords, updated beneficiaries where needed, and created a new property file with Marjorie's office. No power of attorney existed, no transfer existed, no management agreement existed. For the first time in years, Lorraine saw her own life written in a way no one could soften, twist, or explain away. Trevor came to the cabin 2 weeks later by invitation only. That mattered. He parked at the bottom of the drive and carried up 2 bags of groceries, a box of replacement smoke detectors, and a new lock set Lorraine had chosen herself. He did not bring Maya. He did not ask to stay. He did not call the cabin family property. He stood on the porch like a guest who understood the door might not open. Lorraine let him in. The cabin smelled of lemon cleaner and fresh wood oil. A repairman had fixed the scratched floor near the entrance. A local cleaning crew had deep cleaned the kitchen and guest rooms. Lorraine had hired them after realizing she did not have to scrub away everyone else's mess with her own hands. That decision felt small to anyone else. To her, it felt like a declaration. Trevor installed the lock under her supervision. When he finished, he placed the new keys on the table and stepped back. "I don't need one," he said. Lorraine looked at him for a long moment. "No, you don't." He nodded. It hurt him. She could see that, but he did not protest. They sat across from each other at the dining table where the retreat itinerary had once declared the cabin Maya's private brand experience. Now the table was bare except for coffee, a notepad, and a folder labeled property plan. Trevor touched the edge of the mug but did not drink. "I benefited from it," he said. "Lorraine waited. From you being there, from you cooking, from you paying bills when things were tight, from you not making trouble." His voice cracked slightly, but he kept going. "I told myself I was stuck between you and Maya. I wasn't. I was hiding behind her because it was easier." Lorraine felt the words enter her slowly. They did not heal the past, but they named it. "I loved you," she said. "I still do, but love does not make you my keeper. It does not make you my heir by assumption, and it does not give you permission to stand silent while someone uses me." He looked down. "I know. You can be my son," she said, "but you cannot be the reason I accept disrespect." Trevor covered his mouth for a moment. When he lowered his hand, his eyes were wet. "Is there a way back?" Lorraine looked toward the window. Beyond the porch, the pines moved in the afternoon wind. The driveway was empty except for his car. No vans. No strangers, no branded signs, no one calling her confused in her own home. "A way forward," she said. "Not back." He nodded as if that was more than he deserved. Maya did not apologize to Lorraine, not directly. Her settlement payments arrived through her attorney. Her sponsor campaign disappeared from the internet. The retreat platform removed Trevor as host after receiving Marjorie's notice and Lorraine's deed verification. Vance Household LLC amended its records, removing the cabin address under pressure from counsel. The loan application remained closed. Whether Maya felt remorse or only anger, Lorraine did not try to find out. That was part of the healing, not needing to know every emotion of the person who had hurt her. By the time the first cold rain came through the Montana woods, the cabin had changed locks, changed passwords, changed silence. Lorraine had emergency contacts who were not Trevor alone. Her deed was certified. Her bank accounts were protected. Her attorney had copies. Her boundaries were no longer feelings waiting to be respected. They were written, spoken, and enforced. One evening, Trevor stopped by with firewood stacked neatly in the bed of his truck. He texted before coming. He waited for her answer. He unloaded the wood by the shed, drank 1 cup of coffee on the porch, and left before sunset. That became the new shape of them, not healed, not broken beyond repair, boundaried. After he left, Lorraine sat alone on the porch with a blanket over her knees. The woods were quiet again, but this time the quiet did not feel fragile. It had been earned. She listened to the wind through the pines and thought of the woman she had been in the basement, folding towels and pretending gratitude was the same as love. Then she looked at the locked front door behind her and smiled softly. The cabin had not brought her family together the way she once hoped. It had done something more honest. It had forced the truth into daylight and given Lorraine back to herself. If someone treated your kindness like permission to control you, would you give them another chance or close the door for good? And if trust was broken, could forgiveness ever exist without giving back the key?